Hey everyone, massive show. Welcome. Another episode of Synth Geekery, episode 200, which seems to be important to people. Numbers. I guess it's a milestone. We'll be happy with that. But I do appreciate for all of you who have stuck around for the 200 shows and put up with my ugly face and listen to me crap on. That's awesome. And we do have a pretty big show ahead of us, and it's not just about the fact that it's 200 shows. It's about the fact that we are in the middle of the NAMM show in Los Angeles, which I can't be there, obviously, because I'm on the other side of the world. But we do have Andy, Synth Addict, who we'll be having a chat to him in a sec, and he's been there. And we've got a few products that have sort of trickled out of NAMM, which, to be honest, I think we're all a bit disappointed that there hasn't been a plethora of synths as there usually is this year, but that's okay because I think one of them is going to blow your mind if it hasn't already, or if you have heard of it, maybe it hasn't blown your mind yet. Stick to the show. You'll definitely probably have a different opinion about it after we start pulling it apart and talking about it in depth. But without further ado, I'm going to go across to the guys. We've got 4 people here, and we've got one more to come. So we'll say hello to everybody. Hello, Darren. Hello, Ian. And hello, Andy. And Chris is on his way, by the way. Now, Andy, who's below me, which, I mean, I just shuffle these around every week just to sort of annoy everyone. He's actually in Los Angeles, which is why you don't see him in his synth cave that you normally see. And it's really nice for you to get up early on the other side.
Beautiful draperies. Look at that.
Oh, isn't it?
Forget the carpet. Look at that draperies.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's better than carpets, though.
This is a 5-star hotel, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You know, when you have to book something last minute, which I did, you don't get the best thing. It's decent, but yeah.
Yeah. So is that actually in Anaheim, or you're in a different part of LA?
Yeah, I'm walking distance to the convention center. So
Okay, cool.
that way I don't have to pay for parking now for a couple of days.
Yeah.
I leave my car here and just walk. Nice.
Awesome. Obviously, we've got Darren in his synth cave, and you know, he's not over in LA like me, feeling jealous probably of not being able to see all the cool new stuff.
Yeah.
And same with Ian as well.
A lot, you see.
Yeah. But you know what, Andy, if I live
It's sunny here,
an hour's
so that's
drive
a great
from LA, I'd be there as well, mate, just like you are. So, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, there's a million reasons to come down here anyway. Even Perfect Circuit's a good enough reason to come down here. Don't need a convention.
Yeah. It's
a
great place. Yeah. All right. Well, and also we should say hello to the chatties. Chatties are sort of rolling in now. Just before we sort of talk about chatties, I do want to sort of mention that before the show started streaming, we do put a 10-pounder through, which is interesting because usually he puts some chuffs through, and he hasn't chuffed at all this week. But thank you for the 10-pounder to celebrate the 200th show. Much appreciated. Now, Wagoo is probably one of the original chatties from... He's probably watched close to 200 shows, I would say. I don't think he's missed many. If he has missed one live, he's definitely watched it on the replay. So he's an awesome supporter, and we do appreciate him being around. JP Page 2 also put $5 through, so thanks very much for that. Much appreciated. Geez, we've got lots of people in the chat, and I do want to shout out to Inverted Popes, who's one of our moderators and channel members, great supporter of the show. And Chob, you're awesome. Thanks for being part of it too, mate. George Kempson's there. Haven't seen George for ages. It's nice to have him in. Cloudface, big hello to you. Who else do we have?
Axel.
Lady Aptitude. I'm going from the start, Darren, so I'll get there in a sec.
All right.
Future World Machines. So Lady Aptitude said 200. What? Now that's awesome. Future World Machines is 100 times 2 using all the emoticons. Nice job. Big hello to who else do we have here? David's there. David's just shot through a 499 just as I was mentioning his name. How's that for timing? And he's also one of our channel members, so awesome to have you, mate, and thanks very much for your support. Said some nice comments earlier too, which I thought was really nice of him. Culture of Ghost, big hello to you. AZO Heads there, big hello to you, Bert, mate. Been another person that's been around since the start, which is awesome. QRDNK, Hanway's there, big hello to you, Hanway. Haven't seen you for a while. I noticed you've been back recently, which is good. Rinky Donk, hello to Rinky Donk. Who else? Axel Soft Music, jeez, it's been a while since we've had him, and it's good to have you back too, mate. So it's nice. Yeah, as you said, Darren. Now, if I have missed anyone, I do apologise. It's not by choice. It is purely because it scrolls too fast for me to keep up. I'm old. All right, don't expect me to scroll fast. I've got a really cool mouse. It's got laser precision.
Hi, Chris.
Hello, Chris.
Hey, can you hear me?
Hey.
We can.
Chris.
That's always a good start.
Oh, excellent. That's always a good start.
Yeah, and
G'day,
it sounds
everyone.
like it's the right mic too, which is good as well.
That's awesome. Starting to get sleek now.
Axel Steph is said, "Hi, I've got to go now. Bye. Have fun." Nice to see you, mate. See you later. We can talk about him now. He's gone. Grace Griffin's there. Big hello to Grace. Yeah, Pat Brady, your name here. So yeah, it's nice to have everyone popping in and saying hello. Now, just kind of, I don't know, just a thought I had in the last couple of days about the 200, and I thought, I joke about it being a milestone and it's a bit silly and all that sort of stuff, but I've actually probably streamed more than 200 shows. But technically the Synth Geekery Show, or I used to call it Ranzee's live stream originally, which was such a great name. That's why we kept for that one. There's been 200 of those. So I have done some special streams where I had people doing product releases and stuff like that in. I've done sort of music streaming in different parts of the day. But if it's the Saturday slot, I'll give it a number, and that's basically where we've done the 200. Technically, I've probably streamed live about 220 shows. So, if you want to pull hairs and get technical, but we don't care about that, do we? So, yeah, how does it feel to do 200 shows? Not any different to the first. I still am nervous as hell when I do this, and this is definitely not my natural way of being. Talking to the world, who knows who I'm talking to? That's kind of the scary thing. Like it goes through your head that we are talking to the unknown. YouTube could have anyone. The algorithm could put our show in front of anyone at any time, and that's the scary thing. And in a way, it's kind of a cool thing too, because who knows, that person might be someone who's interested in synths, but maybe didn't get into it enough when they were younger, and all of a sudden now they're into it more because of what we're showing them. I don't know. That sort of stuff makes me happy if I find stuff like that out. Or maybe they've got better since they've started watching the show. They've got more used to talking about it with their mates and things like that. That's kind of where I think that's where we want to achieve. It's not a financial thing. It's not an ego thing. It's more just it's a community thing. So what do you guys think?
It's a chat
Yeah,
place. A place to chat about.
It is. Yeah. It's a safe place.
And we don't always chat about synths.
It's a community. Sometimes we talk about knobs. Oh, don't go there.
Them out of it. No.
About
200
benches.
show.
Get it out of the way early. Just get it out of your system now. Over.
I was going to put... I can't find it. I was going to put this knob on my... Ian, you just got the Model D clone from Behringer, right?
I have.
The Behringer D. The cutoff knob needs to be bigger. I don't know why the cutoff knob is not big. Like some of the other knobs are bigger than the cutoff knob, right? There you go. Look at that. Let's go to Ian. Demonstration time, Ian. Mm-hmm. So if you look at the cutoff knob, it's in that sort of 3x3 matrix of knobs there, right? And then if you look at the oscillator tuning knob on the top left-hand side, it's massive. Why can't the cutoff knob be the same size as the tuning knob? Because you kind of need that fine granular, motor movement on the cutoff at times. So yeah, I'm going to definitely mod mine to put find a different size knob.
And if it's purple, that's all the better.
If it's
purple knobs. Purple knobs sound good, don't they?
Yeah, purple caps
The Innovation Mini Nova has a huge cutoff knob.
Yeah, all the peak. The peak's pretty decent as well. The peak knob's pretty decent. If I don't, the mini log cut-off knob is huge as well. So I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think cut-off knobs should be big? Should that be a standard?
I think it should be standard.
That's possible. Yeah.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell
Why
where the
not?
filter was.
As he was showing, it's a six. It's what is it? 3x3 matrix of knobs.
Yeah.
And which one's the cut-off knob? Well, it happens to be the top left in that 3x3 matrix. But you have to go looking for it.
Just plain devil's advocate. Is it not about? Is it really about size, or is it just about it being a different color?
I think it's more about the granular movement of it. The bigger the knob means that you're going to be able to get finer movements of
Fine
it.
control. Yeah.
The smaller the knob means that you're going to twist it a lot quicker, and you'll miss out on some of those sweet spots. To me, that's what it is.
Yeah, no, I think you're right.
Yeah.
The only problem with this is that when you set up a bigger knob in it, that we start to get in the way of the next filter knob.
That's too big. I've got one like that here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never found a use for
There
it.
it is. Found it.
It won't go any Model V.
Chris, your knob is bigger than mine, and it's not a competition, but it truly is. And I can just see everyone cracking up right now. But the one I've got is actually too big. So I've got to go a little bit smaller than that to get it to
Fit.
be knobtastic. Anyway,
If that's blacked in purple, and you can spot it straight away on a synth.
You can.
You don't need to know the layout of the synth. You'll
This is
know
not
purple
rehearsed,
knob
people.
is the cut-off.
That's the next one.
this is definitely not
Start
rehearsed.
campaign, Darren.
Yeah,
Purple
Yes.
cut-off knobs.
yeah. The one that you've got on that one is
Might
probably
be
the
a
same
new
as
track.
that. I reckon that's the same as that. So this is an Ultronics jobber. This one.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's
Screw
exactly the
inside.
same as the Behringer ones. So I don't know. I'll just go for a wander.
And if you're
That's-
familiar with
that is-
electron
that is
stuff,
cheating.
even if they made it bigger, you'd still have to turn it too many times. So electron really makes you turn it a bunch.
I just the other thing about knobs is like there are some musician DJ type people out there that have this kind of weird, like it's almost. Have you watched people perform, and when they touch the synth or the control surface or whatever it is, it's like a hot potato. Do you know what I mean? Like they touch it and then they pull their hand back real quick. It's kind of this. I definitely think it's a showmanship thing, right? But they're doing this thing where they touch the knob and they pull their hand back, and it's kind of
That's what Dom called hot faders. Not just for the filter, but all kinds of. So look at the hot faders going.
twitching the hot.
I think
knobs.
it's because if that's the only thing you touch not so often, you've got to make it look so that people know what you're doing. Otherwise,
Yeah.
it'd just be you'd just be stood there doing that.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Well, speaking of Darren, do you want to have a quick hello?
Hello, happy 200th. Like you said, Rans, we've been on it a heck of a long time, and you were saying you still get nervous and everything. I don't think I get nervous because I think I know more now that everything's usually, touch wood, going to work fairly okay. Not like the old days on the first.
Don't
one
say
when
that, Darren.
we just no, but it's a lot steady now. It's a lot more steady. The amount of trouble we used to have was unreal. I mean, it was less like if we got half a show together, we were chuffed. It was just like you just didn't know it was just going to crash in midstream or everything, and whether you could hear them. If someone could hear someone, then you can guarantee the other person couldn't hear them. It was just for the first. I don't know how many shows it was, but it was hell. I mean, there's times when we was like the lag was so big. You was listening to the question before the one that had already been answered, if that makes sense.
Oh, no.
And you was just
Sorry, which question were answering?
I mean,
This was back in the day when.
and so
Yeah,
I was
I've
answering
been
a question
cables.
that was he said ages ago, and you've moved on. Yeah, and then trying to listen to it, yeah, it was. But now it's so much better. So we're a lot better hands. We're good.
We are. We kind of professionaled up, didn't we? I don't know why we did that, but anyway.
Well, let's not get too carried away. I won't say we're professional, but it just doesn't crash.
Well, I mean, geez, if we have problems with the internet now, I'm just going to throw my hands in the air and go, I don't know what else I can do. We've got fiber now. I never had fiber before, but we've got fiber. So, and it's 1 gigabit. I don't know how much more it needs. It's kind of, yeah, it's kind of greedy. Who else can I say hello to? Andy, you look like you're having fun there in your hotel.
Oh, yeah.
It's a kind of, what is it, a peachy sort of tone. It's kind of interesting, that tone.
It's probably this crappy camera built into the laptop, and the lighting. Even though I have 2 lights on, the room is pretty subdued lighting. So,
yeah, it's one of those. It's one of those hotels, is it? Subdued lighting.
Yeah. It's the decor. You know, the carpet is actually kind of unpleasant looking. I won't even show the carpet here.
No, don't show it. Please don't show it.
The lighting has to be subdued.
Yeah.
If it's bright lighting, you'd go, God, what am I in?
Yeah.
Although it's a funny thing though, just an off thing. I always stop by all the truck stops on the way up and down here, because they have cool gadgets and stuff, lights and different kinds of knives and weird things that truckers buy and stuff. And they have this really cool light. It's like a side light that has a big panel, or big enough. It kind of looks like a lightsaber, but it has a panel that's multiple brightnesses, a flashing red light, and at the tip is a UV light. I go, oh, that's good. It says you can find cat piss with this light. So I actually went over the whole room with the UV light, and the UV light didn't show anything. So, you know,
it's like CSI, is it? Like you're trying to find where the murder scene is.
I mean, certain things need to use like luminol and some of these other things that CSI uses to really show things that I won't mention. But but apparently, without any extra help, you could find cat piss. So,
wow.
And tracking cats down.
We'll come and pick your brains in a minute about the NAMM stuff. Okay, so we'll just hold off on you for that. Ian, I'm going to go to you now.
Okay. Hi everybody, fantastic with the 200. What have I been doing? I've been up to. We've just launched Mo's pre-order on Bandcamp. So and thanks to those people that have already bought it. That's very kind of you. The proper release will be on the 15th of next month, but it's good. That's good news. What else has been happening? I bought a book. So this is a 1981 electronic music for schools.
Wow.
It's actually, although it's a British book, it actually come from America, because we don't have any copies in the UK anymore. It's absolutely fantastic. It's all about tape, but it's got lots of little experiments and stuff you can do, and it's just really, really great. I mean, one of the guys worked with Stockhausen, and actually the guy who edited it, Richard Orton, was dead now, but he was the local. He worked at the York University where I worked. This was in the 60s, and he was the guy who put the first recording studio in a university department, which was just so he was quite way ahead of his time, that guy. So I've just started dipping into it, and it's really, really good fun.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of when we were talking about the what was it, the Doctor Who, the first, the original Doctor Who theme tune, because that was done with all tapes and stuff. Yeah. That was fun when we were doing those shows.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I still think tape is actually a great form of, making sound effects, because it's so. There's a really good, and it's a sound on sound. I think it's either a sound on sound video, or it might be Jamie from Geosynths, and it was from 2019's UK Synth Fest. And there's a lady on there who does a load of stuff with tape, and it's absolutely brilliant. And she does lots of sort of demonstrations and all that sort of things. It's worth checking out. Fantastic. Thanks to Future World Machines for the £5. Happy 200. Awesome, mate. Good job. Thank you very much. No, that's awesome, Ian. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Did you?
No, I'm done. That's fine. That's it. Yeah.
Beautiful. I just wanted to get that one on from the Future World Machines. Didn't want to miss it scrolling off as it does. Chris, you're here too. Fantastic. Where are you? That one there. Hey, name works too.
Hey.
Congratulations on the 200. Well done.
Cheers, thanks.
I haven't done too much Synthia this week. Still, my kick program for the lick is getting pretty meaty and nice now, and I'm starting to get it nicely refined. So I think I've finally gotten on top of pure data, and particularly the one on that particular device. Been doing a bit of research for Eddie F. Rose on GR55 guitar interface. Apart from that, I've just been doing the mind-numbingly boring task of transferring everything from my old netbook to my new netbook, which is so much fun.
That's interesting.
But,
so let's rewind a bit. We'll just go to all of us. So yeah, we had a question in the Discord. I should probably give the Discord channel a plug as we're talking about it. Where are we? There. That's the Discord channel. If you're not on Discord, you just haven't lived. So during the week, Eddie or F Rose, we know him as Eddie, but his F Rose is his nick. He was asking us about, is there a way to get a guitar to trigger pitch through eurorack? And we were talking about those envelope follower modules and all this sort of stuff, and that's not really what he wanted. So what did you come up with there, Chris? Did you come up with something, did you?
Well, the interesting thing is that Eddie kind of has two projects that he wants to do. That's the first one, the going from the guitar to controlling his synths. He also wants it the other way around. So he wants to be able to sequence his GR55's internal sound module, which is a totally different thing to what I thought he wanted. But well,
he's always wished that it doesn't have MIDI out, that thing.
Well, it doesn't have MIDI in.
MIDI in,
sorry, yeah. So it's one of those closed off systems that Roland designed, where they just didn't even consider that anyone would want to trigger the module externally. It's a guitar module. Why would you want to do that? Anyway, so we were just having a look at the specifications and the cable, 13-pin cable, and I knew nothing about it, so I was just researching, Googling, to see if I could, and giving him as much insights as I can tell from what I was finding out. Yeah, because it looks like it looks like what you would need to do that without hacking the firmware, replacing it, doing something like that. Is you've got your 6, one for each string from each pickup, and they're virtually going to be, I suspect they're going to be 6 mono pitch to CV processors inside the unit that's converting each note to the pitch to a MIDI note, and then passing it on to the rest of the system. So I think it was a bit of a mind bender for Eddie, because Eddie thought there was only going to be one wire going in and one mixed guitar signal, but it makes perfect sense now that they did it for each string. You'll get so much better accuracy doing it that way. Yeah. So if you had to create something that was going to interface, turn MIDI or even eurorack CV or something into the GR55, you'd need to crack that 6-string, spreading your notes out over 6 strings and emulating the sound of guitar. That's an interesting idea. It sounds quite complicated and involved.
It would be, but you'd have to know whether the actual, because I used to have one. I actually sold one recently on my Reverb sales stuff. So you'd have to actually know whether it's going to be a CV signal coming down that cable, and then it gets into the GR55 and it converts it into digital in there, or if this bit of electronics in the actual guitar is doing it before it goes down the cable. So and I'm sure
what signal level it is.
There's not a lot of information about that cable specification.
He mentioned that he thinks there would be quite a bit of reverse engineering work going on. Yeah.
But if it works out that that's a control voltage going down that cable, that would be very cool, because that means that there wouldn't be a lot of information that we'd need to be able to manipulate that. And then if it's all doing the conversion inside the GR55 box, you'd be able to hack that thing to, the cows come home. But if it's the opposite, if it's all done digitally inside the guitar and it's all binary going down that cable, then that's going to be some pretty big reverse engineering.
Yeah.
If it's
Either way, you'd have
13-pin connector, it's probably converted to a special format, right? It's not
Correct.
just CVs. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's a quick hack for those who want to do this trick but don't care about polyphony. Is use the MS-20 or MS-20 Mini or one of the variants that has a really nice pitch to CV control built into it, and you get a nice synth out right from the MS-20. Or use the MIDI input the audio input on the JDXI in the pitch tracker mode. Convert your audio signal to the XLR and use it as a pitch to MIDI converter. So
there's plenty of ways to do pitch to MIDI. It's more of the GR55 standard that I think he wants to manipulate. Yeah. It'd be so nice if Roland just went, okay, we're going to put the MIDI in now in this. That's why I got rid of mine, because it was completely useless unless you. I mean, the in is the guitar, right? That's their logic. The in is the guitar.
Yeah,
but
it even has a USB MIDI spec on it, doesn't it?
It does. Yeah.
Yeah, and you could send control like MIDI CCs to it to control the various volumes and effects levels and stuff like that. I thought I saw a video where they were showing that. So it sounds like they were very close to having a MIDI input, but they've just gone, nah.
Yeah.
We finished that line. We don't do that anymore.
I guarantee you it's because they don't want it to be used for anything else other than the guitar. That would be the Roland way. It'd be like, denied.
and they've always been very, very strict about when they make a commercial decision like that. It's never reversed.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people in the company would have to pass away for that kind of thing to change.
Yeah. Interesting. Anyway, I decided to just pop out of that because I just didn't think it was. I didn't think it was kind of finished. That whole development, I thought it was unfinished. As good as it was, I thought it was unfinished. We did a show on it. But yeah, anyway, beautiful. Right, we got everyone. We've said hello to the chatties. Let's start with our segments, starting with this one. We've got one, or two, or three, or more. I thought we did this last week. What the hell?
Deja vu.
There we go. I forgot to refresh it. Okay. So, here we go. What you have is the synths, and what you do is just play with that knob. Isn't that right, Darren?
You twiddle a knob.
It is. You just twiddle a knob.
David
Like I said to you guys, this show is topical, and you don't believe me. Anyway, hilarious, isn't it? Next. When you're at a gig and you can't find something to stabilize your turntable, you can always use lunch. Lunch is always a good method.
Has to be peanut butter and jelly, though.
Yeah.
Some would say that turntable has sandwiched those.
Oh,
indeed. Jeez. Yes. Let's just get the puns in, shall we? Next. Well, you can just rebuild your recording studio later. I have friends coming over. Well, he didn't want any reverb, did he? So, yeah. Nothing like building a couch fort. I like couch forts. Who's built a couch fort? I built a couch fort. Probably when I was 8. And this one came in. Yeah. This one came in via Discord. So, yes, if you do post memes on Discord, they do get shown on the show. Keith. I'm looking at you, Keith. Yes, when you're going to the shop and you're trying to swipe your card on the FPOS machine, and it says you have enough synthesizers.
I keep thinking I'm going to get one of those one day.
What, a synthesizer?
No, one of those decline. All the way. No,
that's
decline messages.
That's a sentence that doesn't make any sense at all, does it? You have enough synthesizers. It just doesn't. It doesn't compute that.
It's a bit like saying there's a limit to infinity.
There's one too many words in it. That's the only problem with it. The word enough doesn't belong there. Or maybe change the word you don't have enough synthesizers. I don't know.
That's
There's always two ways to correct it. Anyway, favorite meme of the week, people.
I like the sandwich
the
turntable.
Sandwich is pretty good, yeah.
Yeah. Bread legs is what we're goose calling it.
Bread legs. Yeah.
Yeah. That was pretty good, wasn't it? I got that one off of Facebook. Don't know who posted that. So if it was you that posted it, give yourself a pat on the back. Yeah. Yes.
It has that believable level of desperation. It's like if you've ever been in a gig where you just go, just chuck the sandwich underneath it. I don't know, grab anything.
Because if you eat the sandwich afterwards.
Yeah.
Problem is in Australia,
I know that energy.
if you leave a sandwich out for 5 minutes in the sun, it goes crusty within like literally. It's hard. Yeah.
It turns into toast.
It turns into toast. Yes. We actually live on the sun here. Right. This button. NAMM time. Yes, I am salivating over this thing, if you haven't gathered. This is a very, very interesting... Look, let me say this at first. If you've looked at this and you've skimmed past it, hit the skids, reverse the track up, and have another look at this, because I think this is actually really, really clever. And it doesn't surprise me. Intellijel are a pretty clever sort of guys. Okay, on face value, what you're seeing is you're probably saying, another mono synth with 2 oscillators, blah, blah, blah. Okay, move on. Right? That's probably what you thought. Yeah, but all the cool stuff that it does, and it's kind of like, it's not digital, it's kind of like analog. So it's like old school with all the sliders and the connectors, and it's kind of euroracky and modular-like, and it's kind of like a madman's dream who plays in the eurorack land. That's what I like about it. Anyway, we should probably tee up a video and have a little listen, hey? I learnt by my mistakes of playing Intellijel videos recently. Andy, I think you said it, didn't you? Always play the bit at the end. Here we go.
Yeah.
So yeah, we have, like I did say, it was like a madman's dream. That was meant to be a loving thing. Don't take that the wrong way. 2 oscillator modular synth, yes, but many underlined inverted commas, get the highlighter pen out, features. 101 patch points. Let's just go back to the graphic because, it's insane how many patch points this thing has got. And it's quite intelligent the way its patch points work. So you've got inverted paint means in or out type thing. So, and it's also labeled. So you see with the inputs, they've got little sort of bubbled labels above them, and that means that is the default internal patching on it, which I think is really, really handy how they've done that. So yes, you can patch something into those inputs and it will override that internal patching, but if you don't, it tells you what that internal patching is. Okay, 34 sliders, 16 knobs, 28 switches. Basically, that's your build of materials. But what's cool about it is it's East meets West sort of timbre sounds. It's purely analog in its VCOs. It has a sub-oscillator, It has through zero FM ready with dedicated index VCA. Now that's really cool. So he shows that in the video, but go watch the video. He'll show you how it works. But that's really cool. You've got the an indexing VCA with the through zero thing on your VCO. That is so cool. Sub oscillator, pulse width modulation, hard sync, all that sort of stuff. The 4-pole multi-mode filter, which has got me scratching my head. 8 modes, low pass modes, band pass, high pass, NT, and a phasor mode, spelled Phazor. Someone might want to explain what that is. Not phaser, phasor. Anyway, so this is really insane filter in there. It's got heaps of inputs and controls with it. For example, it's got FM inputs and QM inputs with attenuators. Now, you notice on the graphic, you'll see some of the sliders are grey and some are white. So the grey ones are attenuators and the white ones are controls. I think I got that around the right way. So that makes it handy for you to visualize what you're doing straight away with the synth. There's a wave folder circuit in there with West Coast style parallel wave folder. And that sound that you heard on the video was all that sort of West Coast sound then. Normalized into the auxiliary input as well. There's digital envelopes, which are good because you'll notice down the bottom in the middle, your ADSR envelope, and there's a whole bunch of switches to the left of it, and then to the left of the switches is a H slider. That's the hold. And then you can assign the hold to different things on your envelope. That is so cool. So there's all this sort of, crazy thought about what this synth can do. So envelope A is a versatile East Coast style ADSR, or a HDSR, as I said, with a whole function, as I said, dynamic level, time control, normalized to the VCA, so you can instantly shape your sound. The envelope B, which is the one to the, wherever that is a complex multi-mode function generator with a West Coast style AR/ASR, cycling AR, or a beat syncable LFO, a burst generator, and it's normalized to the filter for an instant FM without doing any patching at all. So this thing is just insane. On the back, I think there's a graphic of the back. This is the other thing I liked about this. On the back, there's a stack of inputs and outputs, as you can see, but have a look at the FX section there. You've got expression out, a send, and a return. Now, what the hell is that for? Well, that is so that you can use the internal effects on this thing to patch through. Plus, it's obviously got USB-C via MIDI on that, MIDI in, out, and through for the DIN, and your standard audios are 1/4 inch, and they're high-level quality audio. They made a big point about the type of audio treatments that they've got on this stuff as well. The thing that's probably a bit hard to swallow, people have been saying in chat, is the $21.49 price tag, right?
Yeah.
But that is probably, if you were to go and buy all those bits in Eurorack land, you'd probably be up for about twice that money. So just sort of calm your farm with the price thing. That is not really something that you've seen. I mean, tell me if I'm wrong. Tell me in chat if I'm wrong. It's kind of Buchla meets ARP 2600. Oh, yeah, it's insane. Anyone want to make a comment about this one first?
Well, there's something about Intellijel that if you're not a customer of them already, you should know. They're not cheap. So I'm a huge fan of the Intellijel products, and I have several of their Eurorack cases with the handle that are nice and portable. The cases, if you buy them brand new, are at least $700 each, usually more.
And that's just the case.
That's just the case
and
power supply.
Mm.
So put some modules in there. That price is easy.
Mm.
So, and I bought mine used, and they were still fairly expensive. So once you go down their product line, especially with it's all Intellijel, it's actually a good deal. It's not going to be a cheap thing, but that, all the stuff you're getting with that is a good deal, actually.
Mm. It may come down a bit too, Andy. That's just their launch price. So, they've got to claw back some of the R&D that's gone into this. Did you have a chance to have a play with this at NAMM?
I haven't seen them. There's a lot of eurorack and modular in general missing this year. There's kind of a little cluster. So Mark Verbos is always there with his Buchla style stuff. A few other major guys are there as usual. But the last several years where they had the little playpen area where it's like couches and plants and hippie type people hanging out and noodling on modular synths and stuff, it's not there. There's no play area. And they just have a few little booths here and there clustered together. So it's even suit and tie guys not there. There's just a bunch of stuff that is not there. So.
Yeah, it's a bit quiet on, isn't it? A bit sad, actually.
Yeah.
Don't know why either. I can't put my finger on why. I guess we'll probably find out once the dust has settled. What the reason is this year for it to be quiet on the synth side and on the eurorack side.
Clearly, they're busy, anxious to get back to it last year, even though it was right on the edge of COVID, still being kind of nasty. But they're like, hey, we got to make money. We got to get out there. We got to do stuff. So it was pretty well attended last time, and tons of great. Not as well as the 2020 when I went in January, just before the world fell apart.
COVID, yeah.
But because that was a huge one. But yeah, it's just one of those things.
Yeah. All right, so back to this big boy. It is a desktop module. It's built absolutely solid too, by the way. So how you're looking at it, it's metal chassis, wooden sides, quality wooden sides too. So it is built really, really nice. It has a bit of an SH101 sort of look to it with the grey, doesn't it? Anyone else want to make a comment on this, Chris? Yep.
Putting the cost aside for a moment, what a wonderfully resolved. Looks like they put a lot of love and care into that thing. And yeah, there's some interesting stuff in it, and the combination of things that they put in together is also interesting. So I understand what you're seeing there, Rance. It's just that the cost is a bit hard to swallow, but it is, reasonable for what is in there. If you tried to, it's only comparable to a modular system.
Yeah.
So if you had 2 rows of 104 HP, you get something pretty close. So if that's the kind of thing you think you want, you think you need, you've got 2 choices, haven't you? You can either, if you haven't gone into modular, this is what you're going to instead. If you have got modular, you've got to do the horrible thing of selling all your modular. And then for the lucky people who have too much money, they might buy it as well. But then again, when you have to pay the bills, sometimes you have to sell things. Don't we know all about that, don't we, Rance?
Oh yeah. I'm still going for it. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. So it's one of those things where I don't think it's outrageously priced. I just think I can see the value in it. That they put in. But the other thing to consider as well is I suspect this may have been quite long in the development, which means it was probably developed when incomes were still going up and chip shortages didn't really start, and they probably had been designing this and working it out since then, and they just gone on that same trajectory, and possibly the world has changed.
Knowing Intellijel, and I think Andy will probably back me up here, I don't think they give a rat's about that sort of stuff. They will just literally pump something out based on what they've developed. Interestingly, though, and I'll get back to you, Darren and Ian, in a sec, they're calling this the Sonic Playground. I do like that term because this is it's kind of how I felt when I had a second take of looking at this. At first take, I thought, oh, another monosynth. Second take, I thought, actually, hang on a sec, just stop, have a look. This is a Sonic Playground, and you can see it with all the controls. It's got, like, just throwing a few things at you here. Top left-hand corner, underneath your external inputs, you've got a MIDI to CV patch bay. And it's insane. It's not just pitch and gate, all right? It's got MIDI CC, MIDI velocity. It's got MIDI LFO, MIDI clock. And the clock has got a little button next to it, and you can actually tap tempo on that as well. There's some really, really cool thoughts through the design of this. The attenuators as sliders are cool fun because you've got the if you're looking at it as a vertical slider, the halfway mark is 0, and up is plus, down is negative, or the other way around, depending on how they've configured it. All this sort of stuff is really interesting, and they're talking about all these features, which mean a lot to no one unless you actually hear it and see it. But look at this, for example. Okay, so let's say you think to yourself, it's just a basic sort of East Coasty, West Coasty sounding synth. Doesn't sort of blow my mind. This, on top of it, has a massive utility section in there with sample and hold, slew envelope follower, a tenuverter mixer with multiple outputs, triple triangle LFOs with rate controls, rate inputs and divided outputs, triple buffered molds. So this is basically a little mini modular system. It's got precision adders. Now, you may not have a precision adder in your eurorack, and you buy this, and all of a sudden now you've got a signal inverters, bipolar unity level shifters. Some of this stuff is like, Andy, correct me if I'm wrong, they're a couple of $100 modules on their own. Some of these, like these lines, easily. Like just look at each line; it's $signs, $signs, right? And
the buffered malts are pretty cheap, but like I think the cheapest thing I have from them is the step sequencer.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, so I'm going into it a lot more, but you can see there's a whole bunch of cool stuff in here, and this may not be your thing. You may not be interested in patch cables and desktop synths and things like that. I don't know why you wouldn't be, but anyway. What are the chatties saying? And also Ian and Darren, you're quite welcome to make a comment if you want.
I'm not sure it's for me, but it's about the same price as a Buchla Easel Command desktop module analog synth, I think. So, I think what you're getting for the money is good value, although it's pricey. I mean, like I say, it's not for me. I'm the guy that's desperately wanting a Soma Terra, which is $1,400, a bit cheaper, but you could argue that it's what floats your boat, really, isn't it? At the end of the day,
Yeah,
this doesn't speak to me where something like the Terra does.
Kit. That's nice. Yeah. It's extra though.
Yeah.
It's okay, and if not everything's going to be for you or for other people as well. But I mean,
I have to say, I didn't think the demo really sold it, and I think you really need to play with it. You really need to play with it because I think it can probably sound amazing.
I think this is kind of a super nerdy synth. That would they talk about it as a sonic playground or whatever they want to talk about, but it's really kind of a very super nerdy. Someone who knows Eurorack will get this. Someone who probably doesn't know Eurorack, maybe not so much. People who love Buchla and ARP 2600s, ARP 25, they will get this. MS-20 owners will get this. So this is kind of that world. This is the knob tweaking, patching, sliding, crazy sounds, sci-fi sounds.
It has elements of the Coma Field Kit too in it.
Yeah,
nerdy
it does.
Stuff. Yeah.
Did anyone in chat? So I didn't get to see if anyone in chat knew what that phasor meant on the filter, because I'm kind of keen to know.
Andy Brooks is just saying that watch Alex Melody's video on it, and he really shows it off well. So cheers for that, Andy. Will do.
Yeah, I'll check out Alex's video. I haven't looked at that yet. I'm sure he'll mention the phasor. There's only one mention on it. I haven't looked at the user manual yet, so haven't got there. Phasor, Phazor is how it's spelled on there, and it's part of the filter.
Well, they are Canadian, so
It's part of the filter. I've just written it in there. Yeah. Anyway, shall we move on to the next? Darren, did you want to make a comment, or shall we move on?
I could just agree with all of what you said, basically. I mean, I knew Intellijel was going to be expensive anyway, because I've got the Metropolis, and that wasn't cheap when that came out, so I knew it would be expensive. It looks lovely, really nice. But I just really agree with what everyone said. Really, you've all sort of said what I would agree with. Yeah. Like Chris said, I know you said, Ranzee, they probably don't care how much it's going to cost, but I think, like Chris said, when they started designing and coming up with this idea, they probably wasn't worried about the price like you wouldn't be. And then obviously what's happened, it's probably gone, we're so far along with it, we're going to have to go with it, and it's going to cost that much. But Intellijel sells at that much, so people will buy it if they like it. And like you said, it's a sort of a geeky synth in a way. It's for those people who want to get down and sound design and almost it's like a small, like you say, like a small modular kit. Yeah, it's a nice thing. And like I say, I wouldn't. The cost is it's built well if it's Intellijel stuff. So yeah, I agree with you all basically. That was a long way of saying it, but
well, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if you actually sat there and added up what those modules would cost you.
No, don't do that.
I wouldn't be surprised if it would be like 7, 10, you know, it'd be something insane. Anyway, we should move on.
Well, my Hex Mix and Hex Expander together, new, is half that price. And it's just a mixer.
Yeah.
So
yeah. There you go. Don't get into eurorack, people. Okay, we've looked at that. The next thing is
if
this.
I put my Achilles Castle and my Metropolis together.
Well, yeah, there you go. I have to talk about this. There's no video, so it's just going to be me crapping on. But this company is Chinese. They have brought out some gear before. We'll go and actually have a look at their website in a sec so I can show you what sort of stuff that they've brought out. They do bring out sort of cheap replicas of guitar pedals. And it's funny because these guys never get like hammered like Behringer do, but they do. Probably worse. They brought out a synthesizer last year, I think it was, called the B1. It's an analog bass synthesizer. So this is a drum machine, and it's pretty simple, pretty basic looking, with the nice sort of, you know, RGB, sort of 16 RGB backlit pads. It's got 12 tracks. Each track can carry a sample that can be imported. There is no micro SDD card slot. You can modify the samples and stuff like that with some basic parameter controls, I think, through those sliders and the knobs up the top and things like that. It has the knobs are touchable, so they do things on the screen as you touch them, kind of similar to the what's doing that? The Beatstep Pro does that, doesn't it?
Novation had the touch knobs too.
Yeah, Novation, yeah. What else? There is a master effects section. There's no sound. I can't find. I've looked. I'm sure there is somewhere, but in the half an hour that I had looking, I couldn't find any sound samples of this thing. 4-bar step sequencer, 64 steps, holds up to 512 beats, up to 128 songs. You get what else? An OLED display, which we saw, but USB-C powered. There is no information about, on the back, by the way, I don't have a photo, but there is a USB-C connection, a 3.5mm headphone, 3.5mm audio in, MIDI out and MIDI in DIN, and 2 1.25-inch left and right stereo outs. Plus there's a DC 9-volt barrel and an on-off switch. Sorry, I didn't get a photo of the back, but I did get a photo of this. How's the spell checking going over there at Donnerland?
Well, at least it's the same
performance. Lots of fours in that one.
At least they didn't put the 2 O's where the E was.
Don't have a price. Don't have a price. Don't have a demo. Don't have nothing. But what we do have is we have their website. Hooray! And this is just to remind you guys what the Donner B1 looked like. So it's basically the same chassis, I think. It looks like it's the same size. And yeah, they do effects pedals. I don't know where this stuff is gone. Yeah. That's them. Anyway, Chinese company doing a whole bunch of cool stuff. I don't know. It might be okay. It'd be nice to see it. It'd be nice to hear it. But yeah, not really a lot more to go on other than the bad spelling mistake. Anyone want to make a comment about the D1? The Donna D1? Is it Donna? It's definitely Donna, isn't it? I always stuff it up.
Yeah.
I just
the
want to
Donner
know.
Party.
I just don't know why they missed the opportunity to call it the kebab.
Boom, boom. It does do a boom, boom. Especially after your
It
jokes.
will.
Yeah. Fantastic. Okay. All right. Shall we just miss? I think we should just go to here. All right, that is probably all she wrote there. He's just holding it in the video. That's the old one. Polyend Tracker Mini, people. Let's get the graphic up. There it is. Look at that. In your face. Actually, quite funny. When you go to their website, the background changes. And I just took a screenshot. That was just particularly one particular there. Yeah, there's some interesting background changes. I'm actually grabbing it for you guys. It's quite funny.
Hospital waiting room or lobby or something.
Here we go. Let's show you guys. Here we go. They're quite. I think
funny.
someone paused it on the sheep or the goat.
Oh, the
put it
sheep.
on their website. Look, it's a pretty interesting thing. It's pretty much the same thing as the Polyend tracker. This is the mini, but there's a couple of little extra features on here that I think I'm kind of like, oh, it's not fair. I didn't get that. First one is the fact that it is battery powered, I believe. Where did I read that?
Park bench compatible.
8 hours of battery life. That's where I read it.
Yeah, exactly.
That would be pretty awesome to have that in mind. I didn't get that. And there's also a built-in class-compliant audio interface via USB-C, which wasn't on mine either. Slap. Anyway, other than that, you still get your standard 8 sequencer tracks with 256 patterns, 128 steps per. It has wavetables, granular synths. I wonder if it does the what was it? The Game Boy? I forget what it was. Nintendo? Could be. There was little game.
They have Nintendo NES emulator.
That's right,
in there.
NES
you
it
can
was.
play
Yeah.
ROMs. Yeah.
Little FM thing in there. Anyway, it's 350 grams, and you saw how big it was in that bloke's hand. Yeah. Kind of, maybe it's an improvement. I mean, I'll get mine.
It's a better processor apparently as well.
Yeah.
So I can't really.
More memory as well. Isn't it?
Mine's got a
Yeah.
bigger screen. There's a screen there. Mine's
Do you
got
use it a lot, Ranz?
A bit.
Honestly.
Yeah, a bit. It's there. It's right there. It's not like in the cupboard like some of the other stuff. Yeah, no, I do. A bit. Yeah.
Having a portable, would you use it more?
Nah. For me, portable, like even with my MPC Live, which is the battery-powered one, I don't use the battery-powered part of it at all because it sits here permanently. Probably maybe 5 times in its life have I gone out and used it on battery. So I know you like that sort of stuff, don't you, Andy? You like battery-powered,
It's got
take
to
it
be
somewhere.
park bench compatible.
Tell me what you think
Well,
about
it's
this.
kind of funny because I was telling the guy about I use this innovation app called Groupbox on the iPhone all the time. So if the girlfriend, she's shopping, I'm bored out of my mind, I sit in the little chair and make some music with that. But I would gladly carry this around too because it's portable and very feature filled. So yeah, it's up my alley for sure.
$6.99 US is the price, which I think is about the same price as the other one. I think.
You just can sample in directly too, right? Or is it only this one?
Oh yes, you can sample in this one. Yep. It does
That's
have
huge.
this one has a built-in mic as well. I forgot to mention.
Yeah.
So yeah. So that's probably on your shopping list, is it, Andy?
Well, I still got to pay for my Osmos and a Terra and
And now the IntelliGel and
no, I've got enough IntelliGel. I don't need that. But if I didn't have anything, I would probably consider that.
What about you, Darren? I know you kind of like this sort of stuff.
Well, it's part bench compatible. That's definite. I've not. Last time I did a tracker was on the Amiga, and it's so long ago. I've never gone back to a tracker, and I'm not sure whether I'd like it or not. So
it doesn't have to be tracker. You know that, right?
If I could
they updated the firmware,
yeah,
so you can use it like a normal sequencer.
It is sort of the right size and the right sort of portability and cool. You know, take on holiday and stuff to come up with ideas and things. It's sort of thereabouts. So I sort of like it, yeah. How much is it anyway? Do we know?
$6.99 US pre-order.
Yeah, it would be on a list I would have for sort of a bit like Andy for portable units that you can take out and about and create things with.
Buy yourself an
organelle. Would it be at the top of my list? Well, would it be at the top of my list? Probably not, but it'd be there. It'd be floating around there. So I like it, but it's not sort of like grab me and sort of made me think, oh, I've got to start saving up for this. I just like it. Doing all those things that if I had suddenly spare cash, which that's not going to happen, it'd be, I might get that. But yeah, it looks good. And it'd be built quite well, I presume, because the Polyend stuff is.
Yeah, one person I read on one of the NAMM chats, and I can't remember which site it was on, they said they could see an iPad app doing exactly this. And,
I think that's the problem these days with the iPad and things like that.
It's a good point.
But the tactile
you could have an
difference.
iPad in its portrait mode, like you rotate it so it's not landscape. In portrait mode, you could have the buttons, and then you could have the tracker screen above, split screen, job done.
You want to have the tactile, though. The Tenorian is a good example. Tenorian I love. They had a bunch of apps on the iPad that were functionally the same, didn't feel the same. They disappeared. You don't see them anymore.
Yeah.
You need that tactile thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know.
What do you think, Rance? Because you've got the Polyend, the big one.
I was a bit annoyed about how. Well, I mean, originally I was annoyed that they didn't have the battery in the original, and I was also annoyed that it didn't have some sort of class-compliant audio interface, which I'm pretty sure mine doesn't. So, and if I'm reading all the news sites, it says that the original doesn't. So it's kind of annoying, and those sort of things you can't upgrade the firmware to get because that would be a chip in the hardware that actually creates that sort of stuff. So, yeah. Other than that, I'm pretty happy with the tracker. It might be something that I'll sell in the future. I'm not sure. It's a classic. It'll be a classic. So those of you who have got the Polyend tracker, I wouldn't be worried that this thing is going to, it's like the MPC when they sold the MPC Live and everyone sold their MPC 1000s. It's not going to be like that because they're both compatible. So, yes, I know they've got different chips in them, but that's just some of the reason behind that is because they can't get the other chip anymore, or they might as well get the newer, fancier chip anyway. It doesn't cost any different because there's still some weird stuff going on with chip supplies, right? We haven't fully gotten out of the woods yet with the chip supply stuff.
Do you think the size is an issue? In fact, it's smaller.
I think it's great. That part of it is great. Yeah. I mean, right. I personally like the big screen, so that's probably where I'll be comfortable with. And that's why I like the MPC Live. It's got a big screen. So there are a lot of younger people in the world than me, and they're quite comfortable with the smaller screens. So yeah.
It's funny because the organelle screen's tiny, but I get on really well with that. And I would normally choose to go for the biggest screen possible.
Well, it's like the OP1. I got along really well with the OP1 screen.
On the screen.
I think you're right. Yeah.
If it's a clear OLED display and everything is nice and clear, I mean, the Octatrack Mark II had a really clear screen compared to the Octatrack Mark I, and that helped. It would have been nice if they put the Digitax size screen in the Octatrack Mark II. I don't know what they were thinking with that, but yeah, I think that size screen will probably be fine.
The Sophia Wind controller has a little postage stamp for a screen, but it's so clear and bright you can read it no problem.
Yeah.
The sample track screen is a great example. That's tiny, right?
Yep.
Where is it? That's a tiny little screen. Where is it? There. And that is clear as anything. So don't always assume, I don't always assume that the small screen is going to be trouble. It depends on how they develop the software that goes on the screen and the type of screen that they use. I don't know how much different the screen is on the Polyend Tracker Mini versus the Polyend Tracker, but they're not a shiny screen. They're a matte style LCD type screen. And I kind of like that because sometimes it really annoys me having lights reflecting into the screen. Yeah. So a matte.
Just put it out of your pocket. You're asking for trouble if it's shiny. You're going to scratch the hell out of it. So
yeah, exactly. So I think that's a good place to go. Anyway, I think there will be people that will jump onto this. I don't know if the price is quite right. I think there'll be. If I was a betting man, I reckon there'll be an adjustment on that price. So maybe hold off. Wait 6 months, and then be adjustment. You know, early birds always get punished with these things. So
somebody has to be first.
Yeah. Chatties were saying similar stuff. I was keeping a sort of left eye onto the chat. Things like no FM radio on the Tracker Mini either, said Wagoo. Yeah, so people are saying the same things. Physical buttons are better than iPads. I think that's the biggest issue with iPads, isn't it? They just don't like touching that cold glass screen. There's
you
no
can get used to it, but if
tactile
it's a really complicated interface and you have to be spot on because you can't feel it, you just have to. Where is that?
Yeah. For me, it's just watching YouTube. That's what it does.
Oh, what a shame, man! There's so many apps you're missing out.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. Right. What else we got? Next one, I think you guys will be pretty happy with. We've already seen that. This thing. I actually didn't even realize what this was until I came across it today. And what's very, very interesting is the news has been quite topical about the Suzuki Omnichord, right? Because the chap just recently passed away that invented it. And there it is there, just so you guys get a little memory from it. This thing is called the InstaChord, and it's an Indiegogo. Is that what they call it? Indiegogo type campaign.
Kickstarter-ish, yeah.
I don't really know what we're going to call this. Andy, I kind of think this is kind of heading down that Zoom Arc sort of territory.
Yes.
Type
Yeah.
product.
Yeah.
That they're trying.
The sounds on it were pretty decent, but the look of it and it's very fiddly. Also, do you know the Yamaha Easy EG? You ever see one of those?
Yeah, I did. Yep.
With the button, it's the same kind of idea, but it doesn't have a screen on the neck. It was buttons there and buttons down below.
Yeah, I think the screen is pretty. The screen on the neck is pretty unuseful until you need to use it for some of the things. But anyway, it claims to be an easy instrument to learn. This is kind of what its mantra is. So it's aimed at people with no musical skills. This may not be for us guys, right? This is probably more sort of like beginners or people who just want to sort of punch out a quick tune somewhere. So you're presented with a range of instruments.
Not for beginners. For beginners.
It's for beginners, I think. I think it is.
Oh, that's me then.
That's you. Okay, cool. So this is for Darren. Darren, you can play guitar, keyboards, leads, bass drums, and also has around 128
I
other
can't
instruments.
play any instruments. This would be perfect.
Yeah, you don't even have to play. It has a built-in speaker, headphones, amp, MIDI and USB. MIDI also via Bluetooth as well. It has a rechargeable battery with up to 10 hours of battery life. There is a little video that we could watch. Let's do that.
出した明日か手の鳴る方へ走ってゆく言えない見えない日々の中で描いてくマイオンスタイルやれるだけあったんならその手にちゃんと掴んでる Tell me why, reason why 浮かない瞳君であればいいつまらない人生選ぶのはいつも僕だろう Get going sunshine in the good 始まってる
I'm getting that. I'm going to pick up the part bench.
Number one hit. That
Everybody's
one.
happy.
Yeah. Number one hit.
Park bench, Darren.
Guys,
Park bench.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
can
know.
stand on the park bench.
Yeah.
I can just see David Byrne rocking up onto stage doing Psycho Killer with his.
Oh man.
You can buy them in Japan now, and I think it's great for the Japanese market because the Japanese market will love all that. Sort of
They'll
thing.
love this, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I have actually got I've got a Q chord, which is the last version of the Omnichord that they did, and I'm sure the sounds in this are slightly better, but the MIDI implementation on that is bonkers. It's really difficult to get any sense out of it. So much so that I've actually given up. Yeah. Sorry?
I'm not laughing at you. I just
no, it's fine.
I need this to circuit bend and set on fire. He says.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's exactly what you should do with it. I don't know how much it is.
It's not cheap. It's 50,000 yen, which is about $500 Australian, which is about £250.
I'm going to say if it's 79 quid, I'll buy one. Just in circuit bend.
The used market, yeah.
Well, look how happy everybody is when you pull one out of your bag.
Yeah, but Darren, they're just laughing at you, mate.
Darren, right. you've got to stop making people happy when you pull one out the bag.
Oh god!
Oh my god!
When you didn't want to park bench, then.
Yeah.
Oh, this thing's going to be played on the park bench profusely. Let me tell you.
Yeah.
Exactly. Could you imagine out here in the wet, windy, rainy? You pull one of them out, stand on your park bench. Yes, everybody's happy. Sunny, beautiful.
Look, this may be the only way I'm ever going to make a number one hit. So I might have to get one because I have absolutely no musical ability.
Well, I'll end up with one of these.
Rant, I'll lend you my cue card, mate. That'll do.
So, yeah, Ranzee, you start your busking career now. You're all set.
Yeah. Can you imagine how embarrassing it would be if there was like you did a video of this and then it became one of the lamest things in the world, and then like later on people are just memeing you to death.
It's like the original Sample Trek video that was so bad. Oh, that was a bad video.
Yeah. Is this another Timberwolf, people?
I don't even think it's that.
It's even better than that.
No. I think this is much easier to smash intruders over the head when they come into your house with than the Timberwolf.
Yeah,
so it does serve a
purpose. Timberwolf, then.
Yeah.
It could be fun as a weird controller. I mean, you could repurpose it for some other.
Yeah, I think that's circuit bending sounds like a really good plan.
Get Sam onto it.
It could appear in sci-fi movies though, as like some sort of weird device that they're going to shoot the aliens with. I mean, let's just go back. This young lady, she's wondering who the hell this woman is. She's about to shoot her because who's this horrible woman sitting next to me? I'm really not quite sure what to do with this product. Sorry, guys. Indiegogo, if you really want to, let's go have a look at Indiegogo. I think I've got it up on here, on the Mac. Sorry, I have to get rid of the lady who's staring weirdly at the girl. This is a PG show, people. Right, here we go. Indiegogo, it's got 5 backers already, so it's going gangbusters. 5% of its goal. It's doing really well. Jump in, people, before it's all gone. There's your price, 50,000 Japanese yen for the super early bird full bundle. You can get the metallic black or pearl white version. Yeah. I don't think that's black.
I like the question there. What is an InstaChord?
Yeah.
It's like,
There's your answer. Quick story.
Play one chord, put it on Instagram. Bang.
Yeah.
That's an interesting.
So we walked by the booth, and Manny's reaction was priceless. The guy sitting there doing a demo, and he tried to put the strap over Manny. He said, "Here, you play." And he's like, "Oh, no, I'm not playing that."
He doesn't want his credibility to suddenly drop 5,000
No.
points.
I love this.
He had a
marketing.
COVID mask on, so you couldn't see his real expression. He was probably like, "Oh, man,
God.
get that away from me."
So like, yeah. So for me, I just pressed number 1 and I'm getting a C. I'm pressing number 6 and I'm getting an A minor. Oh, just laughing. Mate, number 1 hit about to happen. Look, for me, honestly, for me, it sounded very general MIDI to me.
Yeah.
And that's probably the biggest issue I've got with it. The actual whole idea with it was actually pretty good. I think they could have spent a bit more time developing the sounds in it.
And it's not
Similar
in
to
the same
the
league
lead
as
controller.
an omnichord or a Q chord, because you actually have to play. It's quite similar to playing buttons on an accordion. Is an omnichord. So there is some skill involved. I don't think there's any skill involved in this.
This is just pressing buttons. It's like presets.
Yeah.
By numbers. Yeah.
It's like the Korg M3 where you've got the pads up the top of the keyboard, which just has pre-built-in chords on the top of it. It's like, hey, that sounds awesome.
it's like a fun musical instrument for young ones to get into.
For kids, it's
A bit
great.
expensive.
It's great for kids. Yeah. I'm not gonna knock it completely. It is definitely something cool that kids can have. So there is a market. And like you said, I think this will probably be a big hit in Japan. Or even China.
Hey, Ranzee, did you see the wind controller that's out there too at NAMM?
I didn't
China?
see that.
It's kind of in the same ballpark.
Right.
They're going with this general MIDI type sample sound set, and it can sound okay, but it's just, in this case, they actually completely, in my opinion, they ripped off the Silphio. Same kind of tiny screen, same kind of button placement. It's got rainbow lights on the side, so you go have a Vegas light show on your wind controller.
Wow.
But the same idea is appealing
be an
to
idea.
A Gee Whiz crowd,
Like VJs have the wind controller control the lighting.
Yeah.
That could be a cool thing. That could be a real sort of Laurie Anderson-esque type thing, right?
She was really good at hers.
Wasn't she? She was miles ahead of the world.
You guys haven't seen it, watch Home of the Brave. It's on YouTube. It's a great
Home of the
concert,
Brave on YouTube.
1985.
Got to go check that out. She's got the guitar, the guitar with the keyboard on the tie.
She has a basically drum pants, right?
Yeah,
she's playing the equivalent of drum pants, and she's got a MIDI violin, and then she's doing some weird pitch voice effect thing, and then she's playing
No, it's a tape.
beer.
It's a tape. It's a tape loop, and it says something like "Listen to my heartbeat," but she slows it down. It's her saying it,
right?
But it's like really slow, it's so good. Anyway, let's have a look at this one because we've got time to look at this one. This one. IK Multimedia are bringing out this wonderful looking. This is for guitarists, by the way. So, they're aiming at bass guitarists and guitarists, but I think there might be some scope for, I don't know. Let's watch the video. All right, we get the idea. This is okay. So why I want to show you guys this is let's just introduce this point. distortion is not just for guitars, right? Guitar effects aren't just for guitars. So this pedal, whilst it is aimed mainly at the guitar market, you could put a synth through this and use these features to get your synth sounding grungy and guitar
Distorted
effects.
303.
Yeah. Or even put a, I don't know, a Rhodes through it. Who knows, right? Anything, right? So this is really cheap, I think, market-wise. You're looking at, I think it was $130 if that's correct. Is that correct? Yes, $130 and it's got the JFET inputs, which I thought were quite good. Which is kind of so hear me out here. So if you wanted a sort of audio interface that produced a real sort of guitar-like sound, but using your synths, right? This could be something useful for you, and it's quite cheap with all those extra, features that they're showing on there with the Tune FX and all that sort of stuff built into it. Could be quite an inexpensive way to get access to a whole bunch of effects too, as an option. Anyway, thoughts? IK Multimedia Axe I is its name.
It's okay. I mean, I mono input though, isn't it? It's just a single input. So I'd be more interested if it was a stereo input, obviously, because then it's fine with mono synths, but
1 in and 3 out. Yeah. Yep. But
they probably will come up with a version at some point, which is a stereo input.
Yeah. I mean, technically, synths are only stereo if they've got an effects system on it, or if they're using a stereo VCA type setup. And there's not many that are a true stereo VCA synths. So, yeah, most stereo synths are using inbuilt effects, right? And that's the only reason why you'd want to have the left and right inputs on your audio interface. I don't know about you guys, but I kind of quite often I disable effects and I'll just record the stem of that synth without any effects, and then I'll also record it with effects so that I've got both stems.
All right, yeah.
And the reason why I do it is because sometimes the syncing of the effects in synths doesn't quite line up with some other stuff that you've got going on in your DAW or whatever. So sometimes it's better to add that. You can find that effect in a different way and add it on later, and it may actually not be so muddy in your recording as well, because the effect might muddy up the sound in your synth. I don't know. Some effects and synths.
I used to be a stereo stickler, but with modular, you're used to mono these days. Mono's everywhere.
Mono's everywhere. Yeah.
So,
well, panning is the key. So you have a mono sound, you pan it somewhere, and it ends up in the stereo sphere, right?
Or a mono to stereo effects unit that goes stereo out.
So don't nothing against you, Ian, but don't shoot something down
No,
just
no,
because
no,
it's got a
it's
mono input. Think outside the square. But yeah, $130 for an audio interface. It's a bit of a no-brainer if it gets you out of trouble type thing with a whole bunch of features. Probably not for us, right?
Yeah. I think it's all meh.
Yeah.
It's meh.
It's only for shredders. You got to be a shredder.
Yeah. You can put that. What's that thing called again? The chord thing. You can put that through it.
There you go.
Put that through it, yeah.
That might improve it.
Now you're rocking.
Now you're rocking.
Well, you don't even have to know how to play it. Just press those preset chords. Shred. Find the shredding patch. General MIDI shred.
Kick in the speakers and use it to trash bass.
I can just imagine Andy right now just thinking, I know that sound. It sounds so 8-bitty. It's not funny.
I mean, you run through enough effects. That was my old trick. Before I could afford anything decent, I was taking Casio crap keyboards and putting nice or decent effects on them.
Yeah.
So I could buy a proper synth.
Yeah.
It does work.
Indeed.
Chatties,
Chatties,
we always say, don't we?
Chatties were
Effects
kind
make
of
the-
saying the same
effects
thing,
make
weren't
the
they?
sound most of the time.
There is no need for a mono interface. Stereo input should be the bare minimum, says Wagoo. I kind of agree, but yeah, in a stick, I couldn't recall if this thing was class compliant. That was the only thing I couldn't work out. So I don't know. I couldn't find out anywhere if it was class compliant. If it's class compliant, that might be handy because you can plug it into a phone.
I will have an email from them because I'm on their list. But let me just have a quick look.
Class A. No, it's just the mic. No, I can't find it. Anyway, go back to the chatties. Chatties were saying the same stuff. While you're looking for that, Ian, I'm going to hit the next segment so we can rock it on.
Sure.
Choom, boom. I'm wondering which comes up first, and I think I've forgotten to refresh this, haven't I? Refresh. I thought we did this last week.
Yeah, that was last week.
Yeah.
Okay, let's not do these
Yep.
on here then. Let's just go straight to here. We'll just do it straight on the screen. Okay, we have an Oxford synthesizer company, Oscar. 110 volts. So, Andy, you'll be okay with that one. No MIDI, serviced in 2017, fully working. These are a great synth, though. Geez, they just look so amazing, don't they? By the way, nothing's scammy this week, so these are all just rigid edge. Ranz likes these types, things for sale.
Check out the cheeks on that thing.
Look at the cheeks.
I know.
Don't you just want to squeeze those cheeks? Two
What's got a nice little
oscillators.
maze? You gonna get your mouse to run through there?
Two oscillators, an LFO and a filter, and some triggering with those envelopes. Anyway, what are we looking at? $9,000. Now, I said it wasn't scammy, but I kind of think that's a little bit overs for this baby. They don't make them anymore, I know, but you can get a B model, can't you, with these now? So, yeah. Next. No one wants it. It is whereabouts? It's in Torino, in Italy.
I mean, Imposter is so good, you don't need the Oscar. So
True. If you are interested in interesting things, have you heard of these? The VG Line RITM2. So it is in Russian. It's an analog monosynth. It's a very recent thing. $1,000 Australian. Look at the interesting... What the hell is that down the bottom?
Mixed.
With the waveforms?
Yeah.
giant cap,
It almost
giant
looks-
caps on a small mixer.
It makes mountain sounds.
It's
Hey, I like-
ADSR, isn't it?
Yeah, I assume it is, but from
I'm pretty sure it is, but there's no labeling on it. At
from
all.
this from this distance they haven't made the stages bold enough, so it looks like it's like that one turns up the envelope and that one turns up the envelope and that one turns up the envelope and that one turns up the envelope. This thing's got 4 times the envelopes.
It's like that game in the 80s where they had the little Swiss dude climbing up the mountain. That's what it looks like to me. Oh, jeez. But you can see it's very, like what Chris said, there's a slight boldness to that there.
Yeah.
And there. And there. It's just really, really badly done. Anyway, yes, $1,000 Australian, £500. It is interesting. A recreation of the 80s Soviet Union one oscillator monophonics analog synth. Blah, 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 blah. Known as the Rhythm DVA or Rhythm 2. Anyway, I thought it was interesting. I don't know if I've heard it. There you go. So
is it from 2022? Is it?
yeah,
is
it's a
is it
recreation.
new.
Yeah.
So he's only had it a year. Why is he getting
Yeah.
rid of it?
He loves it that much.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's incredible. Speaking of loving things, this person doesn't love his Metasonics R54 Super Module VCO VCF with, look at those lovely Lovely, lovely. Look at them. Look at them. Just touch those.
All
when
his
they heat
products
up,
are
eh?
rare now. You can't find them anymore.
Put your fingers on that when it heats up.
Yeah.
3rd degree burns, baby. Yum. 3,894 Aussie smackaroonies. Yeah. Comes with a power connector. So is this a eurorack module? I think it is, isn't it? I think it is eurorack.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wasn't sure if it was the 20 centimeter thing jobber or if it was a eurorack. Anyway. But yeah, these are a little bit sort of rare. It does consume 150 milliamps. I wonder why. Hello.
High voltage. And they're probably the low voltage tubes.
They're probably the low voltage tubes. I still wouldn't be touching them.
No.
Jeez. That could be part of the sound effects.
It sounds like
I talked to him once at a synth meet in Oakland, and he was funny about his choice of tubes, and he kind of just had very limited run of all kinds of stuff because he only could find a certain number of tubes.
Yeah.
Because you do so many weird things.
Well, it's a bit like the old EML stuff in the old days, wasn't it? They had they were using old radio parts from the World War II originally. So, and then obviously that can't be a business decision because obviously that's going to have a finite amount of supply. So yeah. Anyway, the next one I've got is a Prophet 600. I thought we'd show that because obviously Behringer are bringing out their new one, the Prophet, or the Pro 800 they're calling it. But I don't know. People forget what things look like. Okay,
what the hell is it sat on?
It's sitting on your organ, Ian.
Yeah. No.
Obviously, a not very loved synth underneath it. Is that what you mean?
Exactly.
It's on top of an OB12. Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, if you've forgotten what a Poly 600 looks like, there it is. Novation.
It's an Ovation.
Ultra Nova or Supernova or something.
Ultra Nova.
Yeah. There you go.
It's like an Ultra Nova.
Oh, the poor Ultra Nova is getting squashed.
Oh, no, they had transparent pitch bend watt, I think. Oh, I forgot.
No, it does have MIDI on this one. Cool. Nice. What was the price of this? 4,000. 4,000. No, thank you.
Yeah, wait for the B.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I think more interestingly, and this has got nothing to do with auctions and price watchings or anything like that, is the fact that it's 200th show and there are synths that have got the 200 on it. And I thought, I did a little bit of work for this show. I didn't just rock up and turn my cameras on. Yeah. What about this one? The AN 200. I've got one of these.
Yeah, me too.
There's actually a couple of this and this kind of, we'll get to them. So don't jump ahead, Andy. So the AN 200, if Darren remembers, this is the little Groovebox version of the AN1X with half the amount of voices. But then again, the AN1X doesn't have this sequencer in it though either. Jealous? You know your AN1X, Darren?
It's got a sequencer in it still. Yeah.
On the top right-hand corner, is there a little sort of like a space and a little lip that's melded into the plastic, and you can rest things on it?
Yes.
Keep that in mind.
Yeah. Well, my mum sits on there.
Well, keep it in mind because you're about to find out what was actually supposed to go there. So hold that thought. You could probably put this there, by the way. You probably didn't need to. Anyway, next, what else did we get? 200th type synths. Buchla 200 series, people.
Wow.
Isn't that a thing of beauty?
Knobbage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful knobbage.
Lick your fingers and touch
And
down
only
the bottom.
$30,000.
Yeah.
Just leave the Lamborghini behind and we'll let you use it. This is the smallest 200 series.
Yeah.
I like that. I just love the oval shaped knob array. It's a thing of beauty, isn't it, to look at?
It's true commitment to an idea, isn't it?
It is. Yeah. Okay, what else have we got? We've got the Conbrio ADS 200, the world's most advanced digital synthesizer with a CRT screen. Yes. Didn't we have an argument at one stage that this was was this one of the first digital synths? It wasn't the first though, but it was one.
No, but it had weird stuff. It had FM, it had analog, it had some digital stuff in it. It was a weird thing with that CRT monitor and stuff.
Yeah, but gosh, that thing is just so ugly. It's like, I'm sorry, but that is the ugliest synthesizer I've ever seen.
I can't even work out what industry the people who built that came from.
I met some of the guys.
Maybe
Hollywood.
Yeah. Maybe they.
That's been on a sci-fi show, hasn't it?
It's been on heaps of sci-fi shows.
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Something called Blake 7.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's late 70s design. That's what it looks like.
And all they had to do was just cover the keyboards up, and it looked like something out of a spaceship. Next. We did that one already. Why is that showing again? Okay. This one. What is this, people? What is this indeed? This is the EML Electro Comp 200. Do you guys know what this is?
Nope.
Okay.
Looks like a
Electro Music Labs, EML.
EMS.
Right. They kind of produced a lot of stuff that sounded similar to Moogs and ARPs. The Electrocomp 200 was introduced in 1969. It has 2 VCOs. It has an LFO. It has a low pass, high pass, and 2 ring mods. An ADS envelope generator. No keyboard, no memory. Lots of CV and gate control. And it was produced for 11 years. And it stopped producing it in 1980. Yeah. There you go. The Electro Comp 200 by EML. Nice. Next. Darren, there's that space on the top of your AN1X. This is the baby that you'd put there. This is the Yamaha, what do you call it? The, what's it called again, Andy?
The SU200?
SU200, that's it.
Yeah.
You've got one of these, haven't you?
I have all the
I have one. No, but
Yamaha things.
I had the SU10.
Yeah.
Which was the same colour as the AM1X, which fitted on the little slope thing.
But this has a scratch pad.
Yeah, nice ribbon.
Yeah, but so did the SU10.
Yeah, true. But yeah, the whole reason why they had that little sort of lipped bit on the CS1X and the CS2X, I think it was, and the CS6X and the AN1X was to put the sequencer on it. That's why it was there. Believe it or not. Weirdo.
You didn't see as many of them.
No. I don't think you can get these that easily, and when you do find them, they're actually quite pricey. So yeah, if you do find one cheap, grab it, because they are heading north in the price range these days. They're kind of sought after. I don't know why, because I don't know, Andy, the sequencer on this is not the best in the world, is it? So
they're not great in all of them, honestly. So
yeah, it's pretty basic. Like, you can't do fancy sequence stuff in it. Pretty basic. Anyway, we also have the VSS 200. We had to show this, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah. Who remembers this thing?
I remember a lot of things like it, but not that specific one.
Yeah, I was going to say, I remember a lot of them like it. I was using the catalogues for Christmas to buy.
This is still an 80s synth, relatively late 80s, 1988. It was part of their Porter Sound series. We love the Porter Sound series.
PSSs. Good old PSS.
There was the VSS 100, 200, and 30. All of them which had sampling keyboards. And it made a use of an FM synth sound generation. So it's got that famous chip in there that everyone loves from the late 80s. It does have internal DSP effects in there as well. So you get up to 6 voices, 1 oscillator. It has a sine wave. And it does have an LFO with a triangle. It has an ADSR. It has an arpeggiator, which has got... This is the thing I like about it. It has a single finger ABC arpeggiator.
Yeah.
The middle finger,
power.
people.
Yes.
10 rhythm
the
patterns,
days.
100 voices, 9 DSP effects, including loop, U-turn, echo, fuzz, reverse, AM, FM, level, and pitch. And it's a 49-key plastic, non-weighted mini key keyboard. Don't we love them? 8-bit samples, by the way, with 1.9 seconds if you're wondering about the sampler side of stuff. So, yeah.
What,
There you go.
what's in the box that's attached by a curl
That's
cable?
pedal.
Yeah, a little
pedal
pedal
on
thing. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess
Sustain
you've got
pedal.
to show that you have it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What else
Much
we got?
more. I'm much more interested in the whistle that's below it.
Yeah. What else we got? The YS200. Yeah, it looks like Yamaha had taken the 200 name and just gone crazy. So this one
Those are
is
weird looking.
same year. This
Man.
one's same year. Once again, digital 4-operator FM synth, 8 voices, 4 operators. As I said, 8 parts, no filter. It's not reverb, delay, and distortion. It is. It does have an 8-track onboard sequencer. Is there anything else about this that's interesting that I could think of?
Giant knob.
It's got a massive knob.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
There is a EOS B200 version of this, which has even bigger knobs on it. So yeah, and the pitch and mod wheels are like one big
Knobs.
round knob. I'll have to get a photo of that for you guys, because it is technically the same.
Is that the power button at the left-hand side or something? Or, no, it's not. What? Just where the Yamaha is.
That's
What's
where you
that?
put your smokes, packet of smokes.
Oh.
Yeah, just the 80s.
Yeah. Put your mobile phone there.
Yeah. They were into all that sort of healthy stuff in those days. Right. What else? Is everyone finding this interesting, or is this boring as hell?
Yeah, no, it's cool.
That's fine.
Did you have a picture of the DX200? I know you tried
We're
to
back.
show
We're
it.
finished. That's it. We're finished. Did
Well,
I have a
you've missed
picture of
one.
the DX200? Yeah, I think I did.
You also forgot the PG200, the JX3 PG.
Yeah. That's
I
what I
was
was
going
gonna
to put it in. Hang on, let's get rid of that screen. I was going to put it in, but I thought, not a synth.
No. But it is one of the
But
things
either
that
was
we all love
either
about
was the,
synths.
either
Hands-on
was the
control.
SU200 either, right? It was a sequencer.
Yeah.
So you probably got me there. Yeah. I thought I did have the DX200. Did I have that? Let me just double check.
You tried to show it and you had the Aeon 200 again.
Oh, did I accidentally show it twice?
Yeah.
Silly me.
But everyone was asking about it, so they know where you're going with it. So
Oh, okay. And I've actually that was smart.
You got one
I
on
was
top of
actually
the
I
other.
actually labeled it DX200 in my folder. That was very smart. I did this very quickly, by the way.
Paperwork.
Yeah. I'll just blame my bad eyesight. Yeah. Anyway, who liked the 200 series of synths?
Yes, 200. Yeah, cool.
Different.
Who's going to go
good
buy
stuff,
one of
isn't it?
those? What was the most interesting out of that?
The Buchla.
Buchla 200E.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm gonna go out on a whim here and say the VSS 200 from Yamaha
No.
because it had an 8-bit sampler in it. And I'm just kind of interested to find out, like, what once you got the samples into the thing, what did it let you do with
Yeah,
it?
you couldn't really edit them, right? I mean, you had to
Right.
get a perfect take like on an SK1.
Yeah, it would have been a completely bonkers thing to use, right?
You had to use envelopes to kind of trick it. If you had like a little thing in the beginning, like a
Yeah.
in the beginning, you use a ramp up envelope, and then it takes it right out.
Yeah, half god, half beast. He wants the Combrio. I think everyone wants one of those. I mean, those things would be worth a fortune now, wouldn't they?
So
It was-
Brian Kehoe had an ADS 100 and an ADS 200, and he had them for years, and he finally just got rid of them because they're just too much of a hassle. They're always breaking. So
They were, when they originally built them, they used to cost $30,000 and that was
Yeah.
like back in the early 80s, right? So I don't know what they're worth now. They'd be insane amounts of money.
they're literally, I think there are like 3 ADS 200s in existence, and
Yeah.
they're all broken.
Yeah.
So
And the guy that invented them doesn't exist anymore. So, you know, you can't really sort of, you can only go off the schematics.
I don't. One of the engineers was at this event I went to at the Computer History Museum, and he was talking about where it was used, and it's kind of lost to time. He couldn't even remember some of the stuff they did with it because it was so obscure.
I'm trying to think of the guy's name that invented it. No, can't remember. Conbrio synthesizer.
But the only definite claim to fame was it was used. I don't know if it's not the V'ger sound, but it's in the Star Trek motion picture as some of the sound effects.
So Tim Ryan, Alan Danziger, and Don Lieberman were the three CIT students who originally started Conbrio.
I think Lieberman was the guy at the event.
Yeah.
One of those guys was there.
One of those guys has died, and I can't remember which one it was. Looks like Tim Ryan might be still around. So it must be the Alan guy he doesn't exist.
I saw Brian Kehoe at the Somo booth last year at NAMM. I said, "Hey, how's your ADS doing?" He said, "I sold those things. I hate them.
Yeah.
They're always broken. Can't do anything with them." So
anyway, so yeah. Who was it? Half God, Half Beast wants the Conbrio. Good luck, my friend. If you want one of those. Yeah. I don't know. Like, I was just going to have a quick look on, was the VSS 200, wasn't it? So let's see if Reverb has got one. I doubt it. Yamaha VSS 200. Imagine if it had one. Oh my God, it does. Wow. Okay, let's bring this up for you guys.
even has an entry in Vintage Synth Explorer, so
Oh yeah.
popular enough.
Yeah. That's pretty much how I got my 200 series synths up. I just cheated. Yamaha VSS 200. Let's have a lookies. Oops, wrong one. Cheapest, $400 Australian. Serbia, Portugal, Germany, Italy. Let's go with this one. In Serbia. There you go.
It's got a video.
Oh, that would just be the Reverb video. God, is it the photo, or is it like this thing built on an angle? I think it's the photo, isn't it?
It's a photo, but it looks.
Well, it's on the desk on an angle.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
got sandwiches underneath it.
He's got the box. He's still got the box.
Yeah,
And the manual.
that's amazing.
Wow.
And the power
And the
supply.
manual.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's a steal,
Wow.
guys. $400. Digital voice sampler. Digital voice. In the day, that would have been the coolest thing for a kid to get, because you couldn't afford the Emulator 3, right?
I was going to say, you could play Ferris Bueller. You could play Ferris Bueller, all right?
You get to
The
go
problem with
around
that
your
manual, you can tell by the picture, it doesn't smell good. You just know when you see a manual looking like that, it doesn't smell good.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys when you get used stuff, it always smells like someone's house, and people don't know what their house smells like.
Yeah.
And I've gotten some stuff that just stunk. And it wasn't
yeah.
smoke.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Electribe I bought, the Electribe sampling one, what's it, the SX, whatever it was, the first version that they brought out. I bought it from Japan on eBay, and the little silicon pads on it, they were all sticky, and they had like it was definitely a smoker, right? And it had this real sort of ashtray smell to it. So I'm just like cleaning this thing like there was no tomorrow. I'm like, get it out, get the smell out of my house.
My K2000 wasn't advertised from a smoker studio, but when I opened the box, my whole place smelled like old stale smoke.
Yeah.
And the keys were even very slightly yellow. And I said, did you not think once to mention it's from a smoking studio? Oh, sorry. It's like, you're a smoker.
When it's not mentioned, that usually means it is. So that's my rule of thumb. Because I wrote on all of my listings that it's smoke-free studio, but I always have a rule of thumb. If they don't mention it, it usually means it is.
I never mention it, and I don't smoke, so I should do, shouldn't I?
It's a good idea to mention it because that's actually a selling point for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it.
There are people that literally don't buy things because they know that people have either been smoking a vape next to their synths all day long or whatever. So, yeah.
But it took a year for my thing to stop smelling, just airing out.
Well, either that or it took a year to get used to the smell.
Well,
It probably
no,
still
'cause I had,
stinks.
like I said, I had other weird scents coming in that smelled like BO and stuff. So, you know.
Oh, come on.
Cats.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah, my son got this job, and he has to work with this guy who religiously can't wear deodorant for his religious reasons. And I'm
natural. It's natural.
and I'm like, come on, can't you just go to the bathroom and put some soap
That's an
underneath
HR
your
issue.
armpits?
Yeah. I once had to tell a member of staff, this is quite a few years ago, but I did tell him that his BO was affecting the customers. And it's quite a difficult conversation to have with somebody, politely to say that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're a filthy animal. Go take care of yourself.
Go take it.
Yeah. The boss has like strategically never let him work at the front of house, so he's always working in the warehouse.
Well, Steve Jobs' early days at Atari, Nolan Bushnell had him work nights because he was a weird fruitarian back then and never bathed or didn't wear deodorant. He stunk.
Was that in his Indian, like, he went to
Well,
India
that too. I mean, he was druggy and fruitarian and all kinds of weird stuff, and they hadn't done the Apple thing yet. But yeah, he was a mess.
Well, he
You see,
constantly
now
used to
everybody-
piss people off. Ooh.
This is why the show's 200. Because we start with knobs. And towards the end of the show, we're talking about BO. I mean, what other show? Come on.
We've come a long way, baby.
Hey,
We have.
you wouldn't be in the music industry if you weren't talking about knobs and BO, let me tell you.
Yeah.
And cigarettes.
That's your synth show, guys.
Yeah, cigarettes, mate.
Well, let me tell you, it's been a pleasure to do 200 shows with all of you, including those people who have been watching it from the start, including those people who are brand new. It has been an absolute pleasure. I do enjoy every minute of it. Hopefully there's another 200 more. It's awesome having everyone here. So it's kind of weird. Like, we had our birthday show not long ago, so I'm kind of feeling like I'm double dipping here, but it is a milestone. So, one of the other guys from, I won't say who it was, but one of the other guys from one of the other synth shows said to me that, he thought it was a pretty decent achievement. So I'll take it. Sometimes you got to take a compliment.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. It's well deserved.
Yes. And thanks to the chatties, lovely chatties, lovely honourable chatties who are there through thick and thin. God knows how many times they've thrown their synths at the screen. I would love it if someone sent me a photo in one day of the synth embedded into their computer monitor. It would be funny. It would. Have I got that sound? Which one is it? It is this one. No, that's the wrong one. Did you guys hear that? I didn't hear it.
No.
Nope.
No.
No.
I might have to turn that channel on. Bow. Is it not plugged in? Menu. Pad mixer. Oh, I've lost it now.
Well. Anyway, it's good that we've come so far. We've become so much more professional, and it's a real polished show.
Don't say that.
It's just, that was the original reason I got into this show, because of how brilliant and polished, and everyone was very well drilled.
I can't get it to work.
Professional.
Yeah.
Ah, there we go. There's the sound. That's what we're looking for.
That's
There was also
That's what you're shocking in the early days.
that's the achievement. But thinking that I'm actually really good at doing YouTube streams, this guy has this to say.
Telling me, dream.
That's exactly right.
Well, remember in the early days, Rans, when we had a sound coming through and we could never work out where the sound was actually coming from.
And we worked it out was the crickets.
Yeah, we're switching everything off, including the computer, and we still couldn't find out where the sound was.
Then we switched the computer off. Then we wondered why we weren't streaming. Nah. Oh, the early days
have you heard
we
those
were
tech
using
support calls. Were they?
Sorry, what was
who
that?
calls the tech support company, and you say, "Oh, you need to check the back of your computer, make sure it's all plugged in." "Oh, I can't. It's dark." And she goes, "Well, turn the light on." "I can't. The power's off."
Yes.
Yeah.
And why? Well, the computer's not
we've heard
working.
that.
It's a literal tech call. It was real. It's amazing.
Oh, I had one years ago when I was doing tech support, and this lady, she was like this really like demanding sort of woman, and she was like the PA to the CEO, and she was like really demanding. And so whenever she rang, it was like, now drop everything, get in the car, drive around, find out what's going on. Anyway, so she does this. She rings up. She goes, "I can't get my printer to print." And I'm like, okay. All right. So off I go in the car, drive out there. Two things she did wrong. Number one, she went and bought a printer from the computer shop. She's not allowed to do that because corporate policy is you're not allowed to go and buy stuff without it going through the IT procurement process. Second problem was she had the USB cable plugged into the Ethernet port in the back of her computer.
Hey.
It fits. It fits. Isn't it?
Did you have to replace the motherboard after that incident?
She wasn't working there the next day.
Oh, I see. Yes.
Yeah. Yes, it was a very quick career. I think a lot of people actually thanked me for accidentally mentioning it to the CEO.
Oh, really?
Accidentally mentioned it.
Dodged a bullet. You dodged a bullet there.
Yeah, she was very popular. Anyway, what were we going to say? We were saying stuff about the next, the next 200 shows. Who knows what it'll be? But I do believe next week we have a week off. I need to double check that. Let me check. Sticky, because not next week. Next week's is fine actually. Some weeks I get weeks off because I have footy games to go to and things with my daughter and stuff. Let me just find out where it is. Notes list. Here we go. The next week. What week are we? We're the 15th of April. Okay, so Friday, I'm good there. Friday, that's good there. 29th of April is the next one. So the Saturday, the 29th of April will probably be a no-show. Okay. So that's still a couple of weeks away. And I think JX3D's got
QF1.
I think JX3D's got something lined up for you guys.
Yep.
For
There's
that.
going to be a senior stream here.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm refusing to go on that.
I can't go to that one. I'm too young.
Yep. I'm refusing.
Oh, we'd be caught dead there. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Just embrace it. Embrace it.
So Andy, before we wrap up, let's get a little on the spot summary of what you kind of thought was happening over at NAMM.
So you guys watched Pro Synth Network yesterday. We had some coverage of various things, and it's busy here and there, but it's nowhere near what it was. Like a lot of the big guys aren't there. Akai doesn't really have a booth. Roland doesn't have anything there. A lot of the modular stuff is not even there. There's no fun area to like modular playpen kind of area with a small boutique manufacturers sitting there hanging out. Depfer's not even there. He's always been there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's weird. And then you have these like you showed the little guitar controller thingy and the wind control I mentioned. A lot of Asian startup kind of things are taking some of these slots. Just was, hey, I guess maybe they did drop the price because usually NAMM's quite expensive for the booth. And some places are doing aggregate booths.
I think that's the bigger problem, Andy, is the fact the price of going.
Yeah. And
they don't feed you anymore.
Kind of like, well, here's the thing. So I don't know if you guys ever heard about the Macworld Expo that used to be put on as a big deal for all the Macintosh and related stuff. When Apple stopped coming to Macworld, it pretty much stopped happening. So, so when some of the bigger guys stop coming, it may not sustain.
Was Focusrite sequential there?
No, I did see Marcus Ryle walking around, so he may be doing something special there.
Yeah.
In fact, it's so funny. I was going to see my cousin down the street last night, and I ran into Dina. So she and Michelle are there representing their things. They're getting awards, but they don't have a booth this year. They're just hanging out. So,
well, there's no Korg either, was there?
Yeah, it's sparse, and it's still fun. There's still lots of cool stuff there, and
I don't know how true this is, but someone mentioned on social media that we really miss Dave Smith, but he was a big reason why NAMM synth was big, because he used to rile a lot of people to come. So he was big at that. He would be like ringing all of his technology peers and saying, "I'm going to be there. What are you guys bringing along?" And that was kind of his thing. So,
was there an instrument booth there, Andy? Because I know.
No, but it was on display in that little
that museum thing,
synth kind of display thing. Yeah,
Hydrasynth were there, weren't they? ASM.
Definitely, yeah. They're one of the
because I think Ken was there. I think I saw some photos of Ken on social media. I haven't spoken to him for a bit, and I know that the ModBap guys were there doing the Eurorack modules.
The ModBap stuff I had a nice talk with Corey. Actually, he's working on some cool stuff. He's almost got a full system made.
Yep. Yeah, good on him.
So I talked to him about some of his future stuff he's going to do. I don't want to mention it in case it was not official, but so I told him I gave him some ideas for some stuff. So maybe I'll be beta testing for him. Who knows? We'll see.
Be nice, yeah.
He makes good stuff.
So yeah, and so like you were saying, there's no Roland, no Korg, and Yamaha were there, but they weren't there for synthesizers.
I mean, Pioneer has a massive booth, right? And the Torre stuff is almost not even mentioned. It's all about the controllers and the DJ stuff and all that. So they have some of these companies still have massive booths, and generally just kind of, I don't know, from my point of view, kind of annoying content. So I just kind of walk around them. But
maybe Pioneer were there to try to see if they could get Elon Musk to buy them.
But what's funny is I always like walking around the crazy stuff, the light shows, the fog machines, and all the silly stuff. But they literally had a bubble machine that blows smoke bubbles. So these little cloudy bubbles come out and they pop and little puffs of smoke.
Yep. Yeah.
I've never seen those before. That was pretty funny.
Yeah. Well, it looks like maybe Super Booth might be the thing now for synths.
Yeah, because even the piano guys are very mildly representing there. Yamaha had a massive booth upstairs, but like upstairs there's very little. There's some guitar companies here and there, but you used to be able to go to all the rooms and all the major piano guys were there with their crazy expensive pianos.
Well, they're the biggest music manufacturer in the world. It would be silly that they're not there, right?
Yeah, but they usually have the hotel next door. They're usually not even in the NAMM building, the convention center. They have their own little suite, which is why I keep missing them every time they're there. I go, oh shit, I forgot to go to the hotel.
Thing. Yeah.
So Manny wanted to go meet Blake. He's friends with Blake. Angelo's there, and so he almost went to the hotel. So no, it's upstairs. So we went up to see that, and they had some crazy live thing, and all the band instruments there and all kinds of stuff in one room. It was really, really wild. So
yeah, I mean the pre-COVID stuff was huge. It was actually it was almost like what you're saying is like it's had a lobotomy since the COVID.
Well, I always felt it was too big. And no, I've never been to NAMM, but I've been to lots of the UK-based trade shows. Because let's face it, fundamentally, NAMM is a trade show. It's a trade organisation.
It's an expo.
And and I mean the UK ones were always, it was everybody fighting against each other over noise. I mean they had them all over the place. Yeah. I mean, the last one that I actually went to was actually at the football stadium in London, Highbury, Arsenal football stadium, which was just bonkers. Really,
you didn't get bashed?
No, I mean I
At
don't
Arsenal.
follow football, so yeah. So
Oh, they're doing well this
I was
year.
great. It was quite cool to look out at the football stadium. I was much more interested in that than some of the stuff that was actually going on.
They're probably actually happy this year because they're doing okay.
Yeah.
They're normally angry.
That's what I got the Raven from NEC when they were doing. I can't remember.
Yeah,
what
I've
the
been
show
to
was,
one at
actually.
NEC. Yeah. You
Yeah,
know,
a while back, and
So-
that's when I
But
got it out of the box and had to carry it home in the rain.
I always used to end up with a headache with those things. You know?
Yeah,
So what?
yeah. You couldn't hear anything. It was just like just a
No,
massive
you
noise.
couldn't
Doesn't-
hear anything.
What some of the tricks is that you bring, your
Your own
noise
headphones,
cancelling
yeah.
headphones with
Yeah.
you,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
you plug them in to whatever
When I
it
got
is
that,
they're
there was no
playing
such
and you
thing as
record
noise
it.
cancelling headphones.
Yeah, it's a bit of an art, I reckon, to do the NAMM or the super booth. Like guys like Nick, they've got it down pat. But like,
I mean,
it
I
would
think
be an
Super
art.
Booth is probably something else now. I think because everybody says it's more like a festival, and I really want to go and experience that. Won't be this year, but maybe next year.
Well, that's the thing. You buy tickets to it. Like, it doesn't discriminate against who you are. You can just
No.
buy a ticket to it.
No.
You can be anyone.
Did you? I mean, they were saying on PSN last night that the trade was free, and I was always offered, to go to NAMM, but it was always the hotel and the cost of the airfare
Airfare
that
and
put me
hotel,
off
yeah.
really.
Yeah.
But I mean, did you have to pay to get in, Andy, or were you able to?
Yeah, so my first NAMM was in 2008 or 2009. Don Buchlo still had his own company, and my friend had to get me in. He was Guitar Center Pro, but even he didn't have enough clout to get me as a Guitar Center guy. So he had his buddy who lived locally get me into the damn show. We drove all the way down there. Oh, I can't get into the show, But that was very strict back then. Now it's like because I've been putting out content, I convinced them I'm some kind of music person, even though I barely am. And so with the webpage and my content and stuff, I qualified as a performer to be able to go to NAMM and not be some riffraff.
Oh, good.
Right?
Good.
So I've been doing that for several years now, but that's still, it's like $140, $150, something like that to go. I guess this year they opened it up to the general public, spend a lot more money. I think it's double the price.
Yeah,
just
300 and something was said, for
Yeah,
a ticket.
and now you can just go, but you got to pay more for it, and you still don't get all the presentations and stuff. That's just to go, I think.
Well, depending,
but-
you still have to have your trade access for those things too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get offered to go, but I mean, I just can't because it's just it's way too expensive. But yeah, it's interesting because they kind of do sort of spell it out to like what you'd be allowed to go and do. I can't remember because it was.
But several I've been
about 5
to
months
were
ago.
like the entire 3 floors of the convention center, the annex, and even the bottom floor of the convention center. They're called Hall E.
Yeah.
I've been there. Sometimes I literally had 3 full days and I couldn't see the whole show.
Yeah.
Wow.
And now it's like I could walk the whole damn show technically in a day if I just breeze through because it's not wall to wall. I went way to the back where some of the display stuff, all the lights and the DJ stuff and the fog machines. It's not even to the wall. There's some partitions up.
I wonder.
It's definitely shrunken a lot. So.
I just wonder if this is a sign of the future. Maybe is the music industry struggling as a whole? I don't know. What's caused this?
Well, I suspect this is just a theory that the pandemic caused manufacturers not to literally meet in person, and they started to think actually we can do a lot of this
Done
stuff
that work.
online.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And so that my theory is that
get
it's
it out online.
probably more than that, and costs associated with. Because let's face it, anybody taking a build is going to be expensive.
Chip shortages, lack of being
Chip
able to produce
shortages,
things.
yeah.
Yeah.
Certainly
It's
here in the
interesting.
UK. I mean, Korg have been at everything. They were at Synth East, and they took over the whole front of So you're probably finding they're doing more smaller things and getting more response to some extent.
Well, some companies get
if you
tired
want-
of
if
the
you need-
waiting too. They have a release cycle, and I have to wait till NAMM now. It's like that's another reason why Apple pulled out of Macworld. They don't want to do it in January. They want to do it in March, or they want to do it in whatever.
Certainly, from a distributor or a manufacturer's point of view, if you want to talk to your dealers, you host a dealer day. Simple as that. So
Yeah.
I've been to Korg ones, I've been to other ones where literally you just go down for the day, you know, and you got all the hospitality there, but you get to have those conversations, and it's usually about the conversations rather than seeing the gear, you know, because your area rep can bring you the next thing that's about to come out usually.
See, I started streaming in, was it 2019? So before COVID, and so we went through the year before COVID, and it was gangbusters that year. And then the thing that I noticed was everyone was kind of, during COVID, everyone was kind of recording and creating. There was a lot of creating and recording happening during COVID, because after a while people realized, hey, this is going to be around for a lot longer than a couple of weeks, so we might as well make the use of our time off on lockdowns and all this sort of stupid stuff that was going on. So there's quite a lot of stuff happening there, and that the market was really kind of benefiting from that. It was benefiting from things like audio interfaces, microphones, streaming people, you know, video cameras, webcams, that sort of stuff. That was massive. I'd love to know what the figures are. There would have been some insane figures. And like companies like Zoom, yeah, just going crazy. But now, you know, we're kind of sort of slowly going back to how it was, right? Is COVID still there, but we're kind of coping with it. I kind of feel like it's, you know, we're now faced with a new challenge now. And I don't know where every country is the same, but I'm pretty sure our three countries are going through the same thing, where the country governments are raising interest rates, right? And so anyone who has a mortgage is really going to be affected. In Australia, they've raised the interest rates 10 times in a row, and they're probably going to do it again, I think next Tuesday. So, you know, so I'm paying nearly $1,000 a month more on my mortgage than what I was during COVID, which is insane, right? So that's got to come from somewhere. And if that's your situation, right, whether it doesn't matter the number, it's how much of a percentage of your income is now being sliced out because you're now having to pay more on your mortgage. Or it might not be a mortgage, it might be that your rent's gone up, right, if you're renting. Because if your mortgage has gone up, then the landlord will put the rent up to counterbalance it, if they're allowed to do that. I'm not sure what some countries' laws are different. So I think where it's coming now is that we're trying to combat this. The governments are saying we're trying to combat inflation, right? I think we've already combated it, but because the financial figures take a while to report through and that, I think you'll find that come mid-year, they'll be like, oh, shit, maybe we're a little aggressive with this shit. We've got people who are homeless that weren't homeless before. We've got mortgages who can't afford to pay their mortgages anymore. It's pretty bad.
We have RVs all over streets at home, all over the place. There's not tent cities, but RV cities.
Yeah, but RV cities.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, we get
crazy.
In Australia, we've got the caravan parks, right? And so you guys call them trailer parks in the US.
Yeah.
And they are literally like filling up in Australia because people are homeless. There's nowhere for them to go. So the cheaper way is they get themselves a van, or they get themselves a demountable sort of mobile home type thing. And it's not that cheap either. It's probably cheaper for them to shack up with another family and split the rent. But you know, that's what's happening. And it's crazy because I know people that live overseas. They've got houses in our country that are empty. There's literally thousands. They were saying something like 1 million houses in Australia are empty. They're owned by people that don't live in them. They live overseas, and they don't rent them out because they don't want to get them. They don't want them to be damaged. Because people have got lots of money to spend.
Yeah, right? They're investments.
So when they come back,
two more.
They use them.
Oh, sorry.
There you go.
Just two more quick points about NAMM, about the kind of dwindling stuff, and interesting observations from before, because having gone in like kind of the heyday, it was totally guitar dominated. Those top floors I mentioned are usually full. All the suites are full, and Fender and all these other boutique guitar companies and stuff pull out all the stops, the most extravagant displays of lighting and just all the work for setting everything up and just making it. I mean, sometimes really beautiful, sometimes just gaudy as hell. And they're not even doing that at all now, or just not showing up. Period. But another interesting thing is because they're trying to shift NAMM back to January, so the winter NAMM, so they're always called winter NAMM, and there was summer NAMM, which goes like usually in Atlanta or something like that. And the winter NAMM has been spring NAMM for quite a while, and now supposedly they want to move it back to January next year. I've heard. So if you had it just now, and then you don't even have a whole year for your next show, they're not going to come back to back like that. So
No.
Yeah, that's silly.
It could be another reason why a lot of them aren't coming. They're going to come to the one next year when it's a winter NAMM.
Yeah, so summer NAMM versus winter NAMM. Yeah, I always scratch my head about that. Like, I get it when it was kind of really booming, but one of them was always really small. So what was the point of it?
Yeah.
SIGGRAPH did the same thing. There was SIGGRAPH normal, that's usually LA, and then they alternate different cities around the world, or at least the US. And then they started SIGGRAPH Asia, which is, I guess, is a big enough Asian complement that they wanted to have a separate show. But I don't think they have both anymore because it's just kind of too much. So they, because graphics nerds out there. So.
The winter NAMM would be January, right? So because I've got to like remember in my brain it's the opposite. The seasons are the opposite for you guys. So so that is the small one, isn't it? The January one is the small one, right? Or is that the big one?
No, January's a big one.
Right. January's the big one.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it started out small, like in the 70s with like, I don't know, 40 people or something like that. But it then just blew up. Became the thing.
So maybe they should drop this one, right? Maybe that's what they should do. Drop this one and just have the big one.
That may be happening. I haven't heard all the rumors, but they definitely want to move this back to winter. Whether they have a summer one as well, that remains to be seen. So,
traditionally, when was this originally? Was this like a June thing?
January. This is January. This is winter NAMM.
Yeah.
So we have it in January.
Because of COVID, it got pushed further and further forward, and that's why.
So this was supposed to be the January one. Yeah, I get you.
The problem is they all like used to have Comdex, Macworld, some of the game development conferences, all in January. It's like this is a horrible month to have all this crap in January.
Yeah, right.
And so you really had to pick and choose if you're into all these different things. And so it made it tough,
Yeah, and the big I think the E3 one isn't that in Vegas though? The E3 one.
E3, and then there's AES is in New York, I think, and I forgot what month that is, but I think it's close to January. So.
And they have that the Cyber Black Hat one in Vegas, which is huge now, and the cosplay one, and So when is that all January? Is that basically?
They kind of were for a while, which is really crazy. I mean, think about it. I think it's partly because of fiscal year. It's usually right around March, so they want to get some last hurrah before the end of the fiscal year.
Yeah. So you're April to March, are you? Is that your fiscal?
I think so. Well, most companies are, not all of them, but
yeah. So we're July to June in Australia.
Yeah.
And I think you guys in the UK are the same, aren't you? You're July to June.
No. April to March usually, isn't it?
April to March.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've always wondered why. How do they work that out? Like, I know it's to do with budgets, right? It's got to do with budgets because it's to do with your government's budgets when they release the budgets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because then after they release the budget, it's usually a month, and then they finish the financial year, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's how it works.
It's always a lot of crap to do at the end of the financial year from a limited company point of view. But our company year ends in October. That's just the way that that's just when we started the company. We started in first of November was when we started it. And I did talk to an accountant once about changing it back to whether there was any benefit of it going back to, to the March, April thing, and he said no. So we left it where it is. I'd probably have more rubbish to do if we were in line with the actual government end of year, you know, because I've always got something to do.
Well, the thing is, then they're stuck in a mini budget in November, so
yeah, there's always stuff that I have to do with, you know, PAYE and all this sort of stuff.
Yeah, we've got all the same stuff as well, but we have. So the federal government has their budget in May. It's the 9th of May, I think it is, this year. And then it's always a month after that. So June is their last month of the financial year. And then July is the new financial year. It's always that way. The reason for it gives them a month to, you know, for the population to sort of finalise anything. And then if they want to introduce anything like new legislation that's budget related, they've got a month to get all the laws passed through bills of parliament.
They have a month to cook the books, right? So
yep,
yeah,
basically,
yeah,
and they do it too. They absolutely they rush things through, especially at the moment in Australia. We've got a government that could just pass a law and no one could, you know, no one in the Senate could stop it. Basically, they've got a majority government, massive majority government here. You guys in the UK are probably looking down the barrel of that for the next election, I reckon. When you guys have your next election, you'll be looking at a majority government from the opposite.
Most people here don't even trust elections anymore, so we'll see how that goes.
Well, you say that. It probably at one point, yeah, but who knows now?
It's hard to know, really. You know. We've got local elections in about a fortnight, so that'll be interesting.
Then the US have got the issue with Trump at the moment, right? And how he's been indicted, which, you know, could be bad, could be good. Some people be happy about it, some people be sad about it. But it's not worldwide. It's not good because you know, a lot of the American political stability does affect markets because of the US dollar, right?
What stability? We have stability here. Oh, okay.
Apparently. Well, put it this way:
as we do.
Zimbabwe dumped their dollar and they go with US dollars now. That's proof, right?
Wow.
What do they get to? $1 trillion per US dollar or something? It was getting ridiculous, so they just dumped it. But yeah, so it's I think it's going to be an interesting next year or two in the world, the Western world, that is. So for talking about synthesizers and why NAMM wasn't, you know, succeeding and things like that, I think you said it, Andy. I think the moving of it has to have an effect, right? So it should have been in January.
It's too close together.
Yeah.
Also, I'm curious if they're going to have Flex this year, because it was a success last year, but I haven't heard any rumblings about it. So who knows if that's going to happen.
So where was that last year? I remember that being not
Flex in Burbank.
Burbank, right?
Yeah, well, it's run by Michael Boddicker and some folks, and I talked to him a bunch off and on as I saw him around, and other than him talking about his house is full of synths that is like storage, but yeah, literally like thousands of synths.
Yeah.
But anyway, it seemed like things were going well and good attendance. So who knows? It may have been a non-profit thing. It may have taken a loss. Hard to say.
And you got Knobcom, which I think they've had this year.
I've never had a chance to go. I'd love to, but it's just a hike. You know, it's just a
because it's on the other side, right?
The Thai guy is really cool. He's a great guy, but
yeah, he keeps coming up on my Facebook feed as, you know, friends that you might know. It's weird, right? I've never met the guy.
Weird.
It's like
well, I didn't even know his name. I thought that John Drake was a pseudonym, but that's his name. So
that's his name. Yeah. All right.
It just sounds like a spy name or something like that.
Drake. I'm John Drake.
License to kill.
Yes.
Yeah. So next week, no topic set, no Name That Synth entries were sent in. So there was no Name That Synth entry for our 200th episode. So don't forget that is still out there for you guys. Name That Synth. Send your 1 minute video in. If you can, then we'll have it. If not, we just won't. It's been a while. It's been months.
Yeah.
Maybe even last year, I think.
Yep.
Yeah.
We had one this year.
I don't think we've had one this year. There you go.
Mm.
Yeah, it's a bit sad, but you know, what can you do?
No one can afford to get a new piece of equipment to do it, so no one knows what
Well,
it is.
they can't get an old piece of equipment, let alone a new one.
Everyone's
And if you
jealous.
do it on Osmos, it's kind of obvious. You can't really hide the Osmos.
Yes.
I was going to say everyone's jealous of my microscopic video camera technique, and they just can't nail it. No, I'm just kidding.
Intimidated.
Yeah. Yeah, so Name That Synth would be good if we can get one in for next week. Next week's show will be the 22nd of April, I believe. 23rd? 22nd of April, somewhere around there. Have you guys had, everyone's had Easter, so I hope everyone had a nice Easter. Where we are in this particular part of the world, it's different over East as well, but weeks are different and stuff. We're currently under school holidays here, so my children are home from school. We've got another week, and then they go back to school to start their second term for the year. So yeah, that's been interesting.
Oh, Ranz, someone's just asked about, do you have a week in mind for doing the studio monitoring show? Culture just asked.
Yeah, you can. We I think he suggested it last week, so we could do that. I mean, we could do that next week. I don't think there's any dramas with doing that. That's just talking about speakers and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Speakers and headphones.
Yeah, you're monitoring the studio. I mean, yeah.
Just messing with mine
hence I've
today.
got no monitors anymore since someone purple blew them up. But yeah,
Mine are just there behind me in the corner. I just have to pull them out and plug them in.
3 pairs for you.
Yeah.
I can show you them. They just don't work.
Yeah.
Yes. So, yeah, we can do that next week. Why don't we do studio monitoring next week?
Cool.
We may even bring some excerpts out of the show that we did a while ago, a couple of years ago, because there was some good stuff on there. Always good, worth bringing back out. And I was going to say, best wishes to Brooksy and everyone else who's been part of the show too, who haven't been on today. I think JX3D was another one that's in the chat.
Yeah.
So I didn't mention those guys before when I was saying my hellos and goodbyes and things like that. So I wanted to say that too. Yeah. And
So
then we'll
Randy,
finish the
instead
show.
of Easter Bunny, do you have a chocolate quokka?
There are chocolate quokkas. I can't remember. There's a
That's,
company
that
makes
sounds.
It does sound weird. Yeah.
It
Because
does.
if you know
well, it sounds
anything
a bit
about the
naughty to
quokkas,
me.
they let these little chocolate poos everywhere. Basically.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, we're gonna finish up because I got to go to bed. It's pumpkin time for me, and also Chris. I know Chris.
Yeah.
He'll be staying up late playing with his electronics.
Let's not go there.
Darren will be staying up late playing with his knobs.
I wasn't going to say that. What was it? Yeah.
Why not?
Just one big knob. Yeah, just
Even the purple one.
Yeah. Yay.
Thanks, Culture of Ghosts. You didn't need to do that, but
Yeah, thanks,
appreciate
mate.
it much, mate. Muchly. Great to have everyone. We're gonna say goodbye.
Bye, everybody.
See you later.
Bye, chatties. Bye, guys.
One hands.
Right.
Yeah.
See you, Andy, Chris, Ian.
See you, Darren.
Ranzee as well.